Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 229 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Where's the PlayStation? I don't know. We got another PlayStation announcement to dive into, but join me today to break all of that down, and hopefully he doesn't go homage while he does so. Lord Cognito, how are you doing today, good sir?
We continue.
Xbox fans, tomorrow comes.
Tomorrow comes. We continue, baby. Yeah, man. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of news breaking right before the show. Shout out to Maddie for holding me down. I've got so much going on. This man's been very patient.
I've
been good lately, but now I'm like, damn, I'm getting back into my late bag.
I promise you, I am the last to judge because I am famously late to everything. My wife and I are the same person in that way. We were late to our own wedding. So if that helps anyone gauge, I have the late gene. It's a genetic thing.
Bro,
everything I do, I get ready stupid early, traffic. Like something crazy happens. In fact, I think by me getting ready in advance, I am moving the world itself around me in ways where I'm like causing car accidents and stuff, like ways that create delays. Like, me being late is good for the will of the world, and I think it's the same for you.
We definitely share this. Yeah. It's something about it, and they're like, you can plan early and sit there early, and it just doesn't work out.
Never does.
Yeah,
I'm just more tired, stressed, and it just never works out.
Yeah, man. So we got that, and then obviously, June is a big month coming up.
Oh yeah,
a lot of things. We're doing the Summer Games Fest planning, and a lot of cool opportunities and stuff like that. And it's just the next month, the next 2 weeks should be pretty hectic. So it's trying to keep everything before it gets out of control. Yeah, kind of thing. It's those days when you're on the computer just answering emails and doing stuff for like a whole day, and you didn't even do anything for yourself. That's when it's like
it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, but what's been going on with you, man?
Oh boy, what a fun week it's been. We're kind of taking these couple weeks between really PAX East and Summer Games Fest to just kind of recharge a bit, right? But in that recharge period, to me, recharging is just being at home the whole time, like not really going out. I saw Sinners recently. Have you seen that yet?
Mm-hmm.
So good.
What are your thoughts? I'm curious.
Oh, dude, loved it. I loved it. Yeah. Like I didn't walk out of it. I want to see it again because I did. Yeah. Like Locke was texting me about it. He was like, I love this movie so much. Everyone who's seen it is like 10 out of 10 perfect. And I don't have any problems with it, but I didn't walk away from it being like, oh my God, one of the best things I've ever seen. Right. So like, I want to get to that level. So I want to give it a second viewing because there's a lot happening in that movie. And it's so breakneck at a certain point that I think it demands it. So I saw it though, really loved it. Loved the culture of the movie. Some amazing pieces of music in that. The acting was phenomenal.
Michael B was
he's that dude. Holy shit.
He arrived on that one.
Oh my God, so good. I also love vampire stuff. I feel like I think I could thank Redfall for that thing. That just like sort of reminded me. I'm like, man, it really sucks when a vampire thing isn't as good as it could have been, huh?
I know.
So I was really embracing a nice vampire story. Love the time period and how they explored it. The script was excellent. Yeah, just really good movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw that. And then want to shout out the LSM audience, man. We got a lot of people who reached out about working on our game. And 3 new team members on board.
Okay.
And, a lot of people are like answers to prayers, man, for real. Like there's just some holes in our team that like we were just like crossing our fingers like we just need to like plug these holes and we're good to go. So to have those addressed and to have it be like people, like our whole team's been built through like my audience and like friends of friends. Like it's just like one kind of cohesive unit and just
nice.
Really, really excited. One of them is my video editor's girlfriend, and I'm just like, this fucking awesome, dude. So, just really cool to see it coming together and building up. We always had like a number in mind of like what our final head count would be, and I don't want to like run a huge team or anything like that. I want to keep it like independent and small business operation, that sort of thing. But really excited because like it's just again just the holes that we're filling now. I'm like, oh my god, like I didn't think we'd be able to do this. So just very excited and honored by people reaching out. And yeah, I talk about it every week now, so I'll give it a chill pill for a little bit. I'm in my writing bag now, just finally getting back to hitting the script and just getting that part. We're really scenario writing and then hitting the script, but very close to done with that. So that's been a lot of my extra time. Like even before today, I had like a meeting for a little interview and stuff. And also just because we gave one of the people a job on the team yesterday, and I never knew what that would feel like. But when you tell them like, yeah, you got it, like the smile,
the empowering,
the smile was like very like it. Like I walked away and I told Layla, I was like, that felt amazing. Like that was a really good feeling to create. Because number one, it kind of speaks to like how bad they wanted it and what it meant to them. And that's like an honor because you don't really think of that in that way, especially for us, like nothing's announced, like we're no name team. So it's just like, you know, like what is the honor in all of it? But like when you see how much it matters, it's like, oh, wow, that was a really cool moment there. So just really excited and appreciate everyone from the Last Stand audience who has reached out with their various portfolios. I'm trying to get back to everyone. I know I haven't gotten back to everyone yet, but I appreciate the audience being so willing to be part of what we're doing here. Cause it is, you know, that is when this game comes out, that is a big story of this game. It's just how like unorthodox our approach was to getting talent on our team.
It sounds very familiar. Other stories, you know. You're on a nice little trajectory.
Wait, who are you talking about?
I ain't gonna put that on you. I ain't gonna put the Sandfall interactive. I ain't gonna do that. But I'm just saying, it sounds very interesting how you know people find talent, right? You know, and how you acquire it. So and I want to shout out LSM, right? Obviously, we've got amazing listeners here, people who love us, people like you said who. They're passionate about it to be part of this mission. And, you know, likewise with us, I mean, I'm still, again, apologies to people that did reach out to me as far as LogNet backend stuff. I still haven't forgot you. Just working on something else. And then as soon as the timing is right, I'm going to reach back out. But it is awesome to see people genuinely excited with their portfolios. Like, hey, I think I could contribute and help. And like, wow, this is so cool, so touching. You know what I'm saying? So salute to you on that. That's what's
absolutely.
up,
man. And just people way more intelligent than me reaching out to just like, you know, just seeing their portfolios. I'm like, damn, like been around the block a number of times. So it's always good to see who's listening. And
these skill sets people got is impressive.
I'm like, me? You want to work here? Okay. So sure, why not? No, but just really cool week. Really cool week, kind of get into that part of the process because everything else has been like friend of a friend and just kind of organically building the team that way. This is like the first time we've gone through like interview process and just sort of like feeling people out, giving them art tests or that sort of thing and just seeing like how they go. And just overall, really good stretch here. Life has been good lately. So
love it.
Yeah. Appreciate the LSM audience for being a part of what both of us are doing here. Let's move on to health as wealth. A little less serious this week for those of you who are anti-health as wealth. So you might be in for a fun ride. No crazy write-ins this week. In fact, crazy might not be the right word. No real strong, heartfelt messages. In fact, Pitbull Loose in a Nursery has our first write-in of the show. Hey, Dukes, here's my health is wealth story. Now, I read this and I realized I might be biting some bait. I feel like this might be a dude taking a little jab like, yeah, you want your health is wealth? Yeah. Like, here you go. He says, since losing loads of weight, I no longer snore and can see my little ass pale dick. Life is good. So that is the write-in.
Man, now we're going to see, shout out to Pitbull, if he's legit. Look, losing weight is always good. And when members are visible as a result of you losing weight, you're doing a good thing. You know what I'm saying? And you can get some extra cardio now with that visibility.
You can't be rocking the Peter Griffin frame, man. Like, that's always who I think of when people are like, yeah, I can't see down there. I'm like, I think of Peter Griffin where like his stomach just like covers down to like the way he's drawn, just down to like his thighs.
Look, man, if that's working for you, brother, and that this is true, your losses are our gains. So salute.
Yep, absolutely. So Pitbull, congratulations. I'm glad you've truly seen the light. A-Train's our next one, Cog. We haven't had a chance to really talk things out, air our grievances. What's up, Dukes? Just thought I'd check in on our resident Met fans. After the first half of the Subway Series, Pete Alonso looked like the best player on the Yankees in Game 3. Have a Yankees are still your daddy kind of day. We have a lot to run through here. We have Soto not hustling claims. We have a ice cold offense. Our pitching's come down to earth a bit. I feel like I'm part of the reason this has happened. I bought an SNY subscription a few weeks ago, and they have just been utter fucking garbage ever since I started watching. So I'm wondering if I'm a little bit of a jinx here. But I kick it to you. How are we feeling about our Mets? It's been tough baseball to watch for me.
It's been tough. I've been the same boat as you, where it's like I can't catch the games consistently. And then I'll catch like the end and they've won already. And I'm like, damn it. You know what I'm saying? And I watch the highlights.
Games they dominated. I'm just like, oh, I missed it.
I missed it.
Yeah.
This Subway Series, I was very invested. I was like, all right, you know what? Listen, this is a nice test. Yeah, I wanted this, bro. I wanted it so bad. A nice test. Then the storyline was just, it was perfect. Like Soto comes back to Yankee Stadium. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, this could be the jumpstart, right? Because he's been middling, let's just say. He hasn't been horrible.
Okay,
Yeah, he's been okay. He hasn't been like, oh, he's the guy that's carrying a franchise kind of energy, right? He's been getting on base. I felt like he's made the lineup better, but he himself, especially the runners and scoring, that was the only thing. I'm like, bro, what's up with that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's his specialty. Like, this guy loves those moments.
Yeah. So I'm sitting back, all right, cool. And this series, again, the hustling thing, I got to give a side eye. Because I know he's a swaggy kind of guy. Yeah. He's the guy that wants to, look at the home run. I get that part. And I actually didn't mind him playing to the crowd when the state Yankees were booing him. I didn't mind it. I'm like,
do your thing.
Yeah, he seems relaxed. He's not letting it. But when I saw that part, and then it happened twice, then in the Red Sox series, I'm like, and then you low key lying, and you like,
I've been hustling.
I what he said, he was like, I busted out or whatever. It was like
I've been hustling. If you watch, you'll see I've been trying to hustle. Like,
bro, come on, don't do that. See, now that's going to get you into another pocket with the New York Met fan that we don't want to see. So I'm still pulling from, I think it's immature. They said Mendy going to speak to him. I hope the conversation already did happen. And, hopefully we should be okay. But I think overall, everybody's just not hitting, bro. I'm actually just sad with Lindor right now. Like, what's going on with the home? Because to me, he's kind of heart and soul. And obviously, Petey, of course.
When he's on, everyone's on. Like, he is that heartbeat.
Exactly. You feel like leadership when he's doing his thing. And we all knew Pete was going to come down to earth a little bit. So I'm not going to get crazy on Pete. But I just felt like we're very top-heavy lineup, bottom rest of lineup, outside of Nemo, Vientos, I don't know what's going on.
Arrowhead, man. Everything that should have panned out isn't. It was weird.
And I've always felt the pitcher was kind of overachieving. I've always felt, I was like, that's going to calm down. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, maybe the reality check, but I know we are better offense than that. But I did what this Yankees did. We got to take our L. We lick our wounds. Hopefully, we'll get a game back in Boston and not get swept and get back on track because we started to slide a bit.
I'm with you, bro. Yeah, to me, it was for Soto. It was the jog in right field. That jog when it was a ground rule double from Judge. I was like, you get paid so much money. I don't care if you're hitting 100. We went through Lindor year one. We'll get upset, but we can deal with you underperforming if you are trying. But when you're like slow jogging out there and letting Hopper go fuck yourself, dude. Hell no.
Can't do it.
Hell no, bro. I haven't seen one Soto shuffle, one fucking cup hike, like none of the shit that gives this guy that competitive energy. Dude, like he hit a ball off the Green Monster and like he's looking at it. I'm like, that's not going over. You just watched Pete the game before hit one off the wall. Vientos hit it off the wall. Low-key was a little salty because I was like, damn, they actually would be like, in any other stadium putting it out.
I know.
So it was a little annoying with that, but I was like, dude, that's not going out. Y'all have done this multiple times this series thinking it's out and that it bounced off the wall and you get gunned out a second. It happened. I've never seen a team. It was the Fenway series that really set me over the top. It was like, I've never seen a team so miffed by one of the most ancient ballparks in baseball. It's not like Fenway is this new phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just like, oh shit, there is that big wall there that like, if I don't hustle out the box, it's going to come down quick and they're going to be able to field the ball because the outfield is smaller and throw me out. Like there was none of that, bro.
Oh, no, I'm with you. And I think for me, My only concern now, obviously, the hustle is a big thing. He hasn't had his Met moment yet, and I don't feel that's why he hasn't been ingratiated. He hasn't had that game winner where we shower him. And then I noticed also, I don't buy into the Michael K stuff. Oh, he's unhappy. I'm not there yet.
No.
I'm not, because K is a little bit of a fanboy as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
Okay, okay. So that's 100%. I've always been, because my Yankee fans hit me up like, yo, see, your man's unhappy. He won't want to be a bet. Because I'm like, your family wants you to go, but you don't want to. You control your own fate. So I'm not too big into that. But what I will say is I have watched like the chemistry. Like, remember last year we were OMG Mets. Yay, guys. And we're goofy. And I notice when we do the goofy stuff, I always look for him. I don't really be seeing him around as much. So I need to see that. And I think because he hasn't had that Met moment, that walk-off hit, that big moment where everyone showers him, and then you go, that was it. He needs that. And hopefully this is the wake-up call that we got to get. You get paid a lot of money, bro.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm not expecting him to come out. It's a lot. Like, I think what happened is I was listening to a podcast. It was called Shea Station. It's a good show. And they were just saying, like, I think they framed it well. It's like, I think he's trying not to let the moment get to him so much that it has dialed him down a notch where he is losing the competitive edge because he has protected himself so much. Because it is like most paid athletes in sports. New York team. Expectations are strong. Yankee fans are fucking weird to me, bro. I have never seen this much energy over a rental player, like turning their back on him in the bleacher. I'm like, you think this guy was there for like 10
years? Bro, it's so funny, the privilege, bro. Like you got the first time they don't get the magical Lamborghini that they get every year. It's a problem. Like, I'm like, bro, you don't realize what you do to other franchises every year, every player you buy.
It's so annoying, man. Like, every time they're like, and dude, it's like a gaslighting fan base. They're like, yo, he looks so unhappy there. You could tell he was so much happier as a Yankee. I'm like, bro, anyone would be more smiles on a World Series run than the start of a season where you're figuring things out again. Like, come on, man. I just
100% agree.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our Mets talk. Put in the health as well.
Defining Mets. We did it.
Defining Mets. Let's get it right in under our belts. And then we have some Xbox news to catch up on from last week. You may remember, for those who listened, we had Doom the Dark Ages as like this hour-long discussion. And I think our show ended up being like 4 hours long, but we wanted to push it to this week just so that we had a reasonable length of show. And we were also like in our chairs for 4.5, 5 hours. So yeah, it's just like seemed like a good time to call it. So we'll catch up on that news. All right. Let's get the first right in here. You know me. I'll take any time I can get from one of y'all to talk about Death Row. Scott Holdsworth, I think first and only write-in about Death Row that I can recall. Says, good day, my beautiful Dukes. Firstly, thank you for sharing my Health as Wealth story a few weeks back. Secondly, I wanted to champion Maddie's love for Death Row, as I didn't write in 3 or 4 years back when Maddie's glazing Death Row arc was at its apex. I have a quick anecdote about my time with the GOAT Death Row. Me and a few knuckleheads were being our usual mall rat selves when we came upon a department store. My mate was rifling through the Xbox display cases when he noticed a disc had not been removed from a certain case. Now, I will pause there, because I know you already know where this story is going to end. This is the difference between the good kids and the bad kids. And I don't think I was a great kid, but I had this happen with Ultimate Ninja 3 at GameStop. I took it off the shelf, and the disc was there, and I had that like fork in the road moment of why do I take this? Like, it's $40. $40 was everything.
Oh, hell yeah,
it still is everything. But like, I was like, damn, I gave it back. And I thought they'd give me a discount or be like, sometimes when you're a kid, you do that nice thing. You're like, oh, maybe I give it to him. They'll be like, no, you're such a good kid. Take it. That didn't happen. I had to pay for it.
And you're like, damn, being a good person sucks.
Yeah, I was like, fuck this, man. He writes, this disc was, of course, the underrated 2002 hit Ubisoft, then Ubisoft Entertainment, published sports action game Death Row. His eyes lit up and he pulled me aside and told me of his find. I was speechless and maybe had a boner, as of most 16-year-olds do. Anyway, a lot of dick talk in the early part of the show. What are y'all doing?
Very phallic.
Anyway, he proceeded to take the case, grab some clothes off the nearby rack from an adjoining menswear department store, and headed to the change rooms. A few moments later, he emerged, grimacing in discomfort as he put the display case back on the shelf. The boys and I had asked what he had done, to which he emphatically told us he stored the disc down the front of his jeans. We left the store post-haste to the nearest Xbox and fired up the game, which was ironically about criminals battling it out in an arena. It became a staple then on. Tournaments were held and the legend grew, but other than my criminal friend, none of us dared touch the disc because his dick already did. Love you both. And a special shout out to the Max Payne 3 port. I played it for the first time this year on Steam Deck and couldn't put it down. That's awesome to hear. You're playing a lot of the Maddie gems that I try to champion, but I feel like no one talks about. Max Payne 3 is another one, but Death Row, dude, like, again, man, give it a shot. If y'all are listening, you got that 360 hookup or that OG Xbox hookup, play a sports action game where you're criminals battling it out for your freedom. Really cool. And you don't have to deal with look what Scott went through to play the game, bro. He was touching phallic discs, man. Like, come on now.
Who borrowed it first?
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Scott, thank you for your write-in, getting us all warmed up here. All right. First story here that we're catching up on, at least, goes to the Xbox handheld leaks. So we got to look at the design for the ROG Ally 2 and the Xbox version. This was discovered by a outlet, I believe it was 9 Mobiles is what it's called. We have a link here to the Video Cards website. But you can see there is an Xbox button on the device. And compared to the ROG Ally, they added a little bit of ergonomical support, so it looks a little bit more like a controller. The bad boy is covered in dust. And so a lot of people were kind of debating this unit. Is it hot? Is it not? And Kyle, I want to kick it to you first. How are we feeling about our first look at what is literally the ROG Ally, except it's going to have an Xbox guide button on? I think some people were underwhelmed as well. It didn't have that Xbox feel to it, which I think is Xbox might be happy to hear that since they're working on their own handheld for real. But how do you feel about what you saw with this?
Yeah, I mean, the ergonomics don't make it look the most attractive machine, right? It looked pretty ugly, right? Me and Brad discussed, but it's one of those things. It's probably going to control well. I mean, for extended gameplay, but obviously I just don't like the way it looks. As far as the the Xbox button, the extra functionality, to me, the jury's going to be out on that UI and how much Xbox, integration it's going to be. Now I'm seeing the memory, they're seeing the cores. My thing will be, again, it's going to come down to the decision with price point. Again, I'm an Ally X owner. I may not have the urgency to run out and get it if it doesn't surpass. I'm seeing that chipset. I'm seeing that Z Extreme, 2, it looks like most likely, but I need to see the other stats because the Ally X is, it's a beefy boy. It's got a lot of memory, got a lot of other things going on. So if it's lesser than and it doesn't have any UI stuff, that will cause me to pause. Now, I will say if it does have a very streamlined Xbox console-like UI and that guide button is popping and they making it very seamless, or they pull you can only get this on this device then I'm gonna be weak. I'll bend the knee and I'll do it. But we'll see what happens. But where are you at with this? Because I'm very curious.
I'm with you. I think the hardware is one thing. Like, I think it's gonna be very powerful. With the tariffs, I think my price point prediction is gonna be off. I know there's a pause and stuff, but it feels like with Xbox jumping their prices that, as we did discuss, I think some companies are going to take advantage of the confusion around tariffs and just jump their prices in general because it's like, oh, is it because of the tariffs or is it not? Like, that level of economic uncertainty is a right place for companies to take advantage of consumers. So I wouldn't be surprised if this just jumped in price anyway so that they could limit the loss on the hardware. So for me, it really comes down to the software. And I'm right there with you that I think if the Xbox UI and that sort of ecosystem is well represented and it's not like jumping around a desktop except using like my touch screen to try and do it and the way the system updates, like a lot of it is that accessibility. If they can upgrade that, I mean, I am in love with my Steam Deck OLED, so it's tough to imagine a world where I do drop that. It is my go-to handheld constantly, but I'm open-minded to it because I've been using my Xbox a lot this year. Compared to last year, but I've been using it a lot this year. And if they can give me that continued Xbox experience, and I'm not talking like, oh, when you load the system, it auto boots the Xbox PC app, and it's like this compact, shitty version of an already shitty app. Then that's not going to light my fire. I'm hoping that they kind of. And it's going to be tough because they're working with a third-party partner, but I'm hoping that this thing can be held until that. We've heard about the unified Xbox UI. This is an Xbox and how it looks everywhere. I'm hoping they at least hold this announcement until that's ready, because I think, as we've talked about numerous times, that sort of conversation on like Xbox having their announced games going to other platforms and how like this is an Xbox, it's Xbox everywhere. It's like, okay, but what does that actually look like?
Right.
What is this unified platform strategy that you keep talking about? And so I think putting that there is like the missing pieces. We'll talk about in our next story. The games are doing their thing. Yeah. They're doing fantastic on that front.
As we
so
were.
It's now just about, for those who are in that Xbox ecosystem feeling abandoned, how do you make them feel taken care of when they jump to other platforms? That's, I think, what if they can answer that with this device, that's a win. Because even if people don't buy into this device, if it's a test bed for like, here's what it looks like on other handheld PCs, and obviously what it'll look like on your next gen console, I think that does a lot of heavy lifting for Xbox unto itself. So very keen to see what they have for this system, but we'll keep an eye out. No doubt I think just given our occupation, we'll both be buying it anyway, unless it's really like such a dud announcement. It's like, oh, it's just a more powerful ROG Ally, and like the Xbox features are very limited. I might hold off then, but we'll see. All right. Next up here, Xbox dominating on PlayStation. Actually, this was a story from last week, but we have updated numbers here thanks to Matt Piscatella that paint an even more solidified picture of what that looks like. So I'm glad we waited a bit. He writes on his Blue Sky account, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered was the best-selling game of the month of April, instantly becoming the third best-selling game of 2025 year to date. It was the best-selling title across each of PlayStation, Xbox, and PC platforms. So as Cog said before, Elder Scrolls having that brand power. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered sold more units in April 2025 than the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, like the original version, achieved throughout its first 15 months in the market combined, following its March 2006 debut, and generated more full game dollar sales than the original's first 14 months combined. Forza Horizon 5 was the second best-selling game of April 2025, following its debut on PlayStation 5. It ranked as the 42nd best-selling title of March. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle also launched on PlayStation. And by the way, March is interesting because I think that is accounting for just pre-orders.
Right. I forgot about that. Yes. Good call.
That says a lot, that stat.
Yes.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, this is a great stat, also launched on PlayStation 5 during April 2025. The game jumped from 118th on the monthly best-selling chart a month ago to 6. So love to see that. As I said, I was hoping the PlayStation audience would show up and make Indiana Jones a strong selling candidate. 4 out of the top 5 out of the top 7 best-selling games of the month on PlayStation platforms were published by Microsoft. We have a write-in here. Comes from Austin. He writes, "Hey Dukes, I'm sure you guys all saw the news, but Xbox's plans for global domination seem to be panning out. Xbox's game software is dominating the charts on all platforms, including 5 best-selling games on PlayStation, all being Xbox-owned games. Game Pass continues to be an insane value proposition in a day and age where games are more expensive than ever. The console somehow increased its sales year over year in the US, and all of this news comes just a week before the showcase, just weeks before the showcase, which has proven to be one of the best shows every year. A lot of fans seem convinced the brand was doomed back when the multi-platform strategy was announced, but it seems things are going better than ever over at Xbox. If we aren't strictly focused on hardware sales, what say you?" Cog, you pointed to yourself, so I want you to go first. How are we feeling about all of this statistical stuff we got going on here?
It's still shocking to me. I know a lot of people just like, it makes sense. It was inevitable. I didn't necessarily see it at first. I'll just be honest. I just was like, wow, you got to be careful. How is this going to affect the brand? But the early indicator to me, even though we didn't even mention with the Matt Piscatella Blue Sky stuff, was Sea of Thieves. That, when I saw Sea of Thieves jump out like that, for a very older game, I was surprised. Now, granted, a lot of people say, "Cock, that's a very unique experience. There's nothing like it. It's a pirate game. It's fun." And I get it, but it still showed me that, that ecosystem wanted to play that, but not enough to buy a console and not enough to come over. So it just, that always stuck in the back of my mind. Now, granted, yes, we have some smaller anecdotes. Obviously, Pentiment did not do well, you know what I'm saying? But, and Hi-Fi Rush didn't do well, but Grounded did well, right? But then now we start with the heavy hitters, and you see the Forza Horizon, like, was it number 2 an MPD? Again, just to be clever, that's insane. That is what, 4 or 5, whatever year-old game, 3-year-old game, whatever it is. And, to see it have that kind of dominance and that kind of traction. And then obviously Oblivion. We already talked ad nauseum about how the Elder Scrolls brand, what it is when it's done right, and it's paid proper respect to. Obviously, we got to fix these bugs and stuff.
Oh, dude, I don't mean to interrupt your whole thing, but I had to drop it. I have never done that before with the game. I pushed through 76, to be fair. I would have dropped that, but Oblivion Remastered is in such a state that I'm just like, it keeps crashing on me. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah,
So,
and because of you, after I finished Expedition, I haven't went to it because I'm like, you know what?
Man.
If he's going through that and all of, shout out to my man Digital Marine, he's from Lognet. He's so accurate with a lot of the stuff, the real issues that's going on behind the scenes. And when I seen that, I'm like, yeah, I'm waiting.
It's painful, bro, because it's so. For me, it's so good.
Good, and it goes to show people still didn't care. They out here doing what they doing. They trudging through, saying kind
of game, right? Like, if it's exciting, we're there for it.
Exactly.
It was very exciting.
Bro. And then the big one, like we said, Indiana Jones, right? Let's be honest, we know that on the Xbox platform, it is the Game Pass platform. It's not going to sell as much on comparatively to other platforms. And the PC was okay, right? I felt like it was okay. But to see the PlayStation base, right, really take to it. What is it? Launch on the PlayStation 5, it jumped from 118 to 6th.
Yeah.
Bro, again, all the signs, because people always told me, exclusives, that's what drives you to the platform. That's what makes you buy a console. Again, it comes back to that old saying, the generation that they couldn't afford to lose was when everyone got locked into the digital libraries, and people are not willing to leave their ecosystem for Xbox. But this strategy is proving to be the correct one so far. And now we've got more data. This was the date I was waiting for.
Yeah.
Because people say, million sales, million players, pre-orders, that's great. But when I see the Circana, you're the best selling of the month. You're the second best of the month. Old games dominating Circana of the month. Rising.
Very busy month, might we add,
That's what I'm saying. Expedition was here. All these other games is here. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so far, have to admit, kudos to them. This is, you go to where they are. And this seems to be the new thing. But what are your thoughts now that we've got some real concrete data with Circana?
Taking my L with grace. Yeah, they they definitely did that. And when you can't argue that sort of stuff, I think there is. I don't want to do revisionist history on what I said. I want to say in hindsight that we knew this would make them a lot of money.
Yes,
we were worried about brand identity, but what we're seeing here is that's mattering less and less. People are showing up to buy their stuff more than they ever have. And I'm sure for them, that's exciting. What it leads to is what I'm very curious about. And by that, I mean, we had a very optimistic view of Xbox when they were like investing in companies like Compulsion and Ninja Theory and giving them time and giving them money. And games like South of Midnight, they said were designed to, I think Compulsion said it recently, like, oh, this is a Game Pass game. Like, this is what we're here for. So does Xbox still see value in that when the dollars and cents are starting to pour in? Or do they want to start to like, oh, but if we had other games that we could gradually port over on the level of Forza, like, what does that do for us? I think the first test will actually be the game we're going to talk about later in Hellblade 2. What does that do on the PlayStation market when it was originally a PlayStation exclusive? Like, I think there's something there. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, no doubt they're making money, but it seems like the damage to the platform has been as minimized as it could be. The conversation was very loud. I think it was very warranted. Because Xbox was going back and forth and in some cases lying. And so I think those conversations had to happen. But I do want to see, again, how they unify these platforms, because we're talking now as things have come together. When they announced all this, it was very discombobulated. It was very scattered. It was clearly figuring out as they went along. And so when I say kudos to them, it's more kudos to them for managing the ship through the storm. But I hope if they decide to make other platform altering decisions, which I hope they're running out of those decisions. But if they do decide to do it again, I hope they are more prepared, because that is the energy I got, that they were ill prepared going into this. And, just kind of kept doing the Band-Aid rip moment over and over.
Yeah.
And again, I that's where, again, the only thing I'm waiting out on, and this is not me holding on to being right, like it's more just, the brand damage will only be understood fully with the next console launch.
Yes, that's what me and you align.
And we've said that before, and I'm sticking to that. Maybe it matters less because their games are going to be everywhere. That's the interesting part of the conversation, and that we'll talk about as well in a little bit, embracing other platforms coming to their platform. So we'll see how much it matters then, but they did do things kind of fucked up, like how they handled the announcement of Indiana Jones and it going multi-plat. The way they like just randomly were like, oh, we're bringing all games over. There's no more red tape. It's like, you said it was just 4.
Right.
You said it wasn't Starfield. You said it wasn't indie. So again, the dollars and cents kicked in. I'm not like a corporate cheerleader level. I'm like, yeah, they're making money. Good for them. I think they still need to take care of their fans and continue to provide them value for investing in their platform. So I think a lot of that truth will be shaken out later. So we'll see. But yeah, overall, they're dominating with software sales, and that's good because I hope it leads to more time for their games. Like they've delaying things if they need delaying, and investing in more risky projects that they otherwise wouldn't. So good to see overall. But I've been talking for a while. Go ahead.
No, you're cooking. I agree. I think that's fair pushback. And I think that, for me, I think they're also a beneficiary of the economic climate of what's going on, because now you have the situation where now they can fund, we have to admit the Game Pass strategy by itself without the multi-plat strategy was definitely going this way, right? It was definitely teetering down. And now when you do this multi-plat strategy, and again, not fully realized, Nintendo Switch still doesn't have a lot of stuff. There's still more money for them to be made, right? So the thing is, now it subsidizes almost the Game Pass ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And now what's interesting to me is Game Pass, we have to admit, is probably cooking at its highest level. You have a game, bro, you have a Game of the Year candidate in Expedition 33 on Game Pass. You have literally, what is it, already the number 3, number 5, what is it? What's Oblivion of the year already? It's only like a month or two, and it's already in the top 5 as far as sold for the year, right? In the service. So now, and then in a world where we got $80 games and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's making, because I think, listen to Sacred Boys, and Colin made a good, and someone wrote in to them and they were like, yo, I might have to subscribe. I mean, I subscribed to Game Pass. Like I could, it was between Expedition, Oblivion, all this other stuff, Doom, mm-hmm. it was like a no-brainer. And that's the reality of the climate we are with games being so expensive, right? So I think the timing is kind of working out for them with the whole tariff thing and the pricing and
$80 games,
which finally makes Game Pass that very attractive. I need to get in. And then the second thing I wanted to say, which is
crazy, it needed an extra push, by the way, just to throw it out there, like the amount of value it was providing already. People were like, I'm not sold yet. I'm like, damn, bro, I don't know what will then, but I guess just drastic economic changes will do that.
Bro, I mean, 4 or 5 games in that span, and you could just rock out, right? And you're not paying 80. And then the thing that's weird, I think like both companies need each other in a way. Mm-hmm. Because of PlayStation's, obviously we'll get into what's going on in Bungie and other things, right? And the first party offerings being kind of stagnant on the PlayStation side. This company now is stagnant on the hardware side, but has the games. It is a very weird, beneficial relationship right now. They're both feeding each other in a way, right? So it's just something to watch. It's a wild timeline. That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely. So that's on the positive side for Xbox. We'll get this negative one out of the way. Microsoft has cut 3% of its overall workforce. They said in a statement that the cuts would, quote, best position the company for success in a dynamic marketplace, end quote. This comes from CNBC. They wrote, we continue to implement organizational changes necessary to best position the company for success in a dynamic market. Microsoft has over 200,000 employees. So obviously even 3% is still thousands of people would be impacted by this. So best wishes to anyone listening who might be impacted by this, but more layoffs at Microsoft, big tech doing big tech things, man. How are we feeling?
I absolutely hate it. It's just, again, with record profits and all the stuff that's going on. I guess my question now is like, when is the course correction going to stop?
Yeah, right. Like I keep hearing that sort of shifting, we're best positioning ourselves. I'm like, how are you not positioned yet? Like, it's been a bloodbath, man. Like, when are you not positioned well?
How many years pass, and this is for all companies. I don't want to just single them out, but it's like how much more course correction is needed? Like this is insane to me. And as we will again discuss later, I don't see other course correction on a higher end level for people who actually make decisions that affect companies in a real way, right? Yeah. That's the course correction I'm waiting for, because
the more impactful course correction might we add.
There's only certain people that are suffering, and those seem to be the ones that are making the stuff that I love. So I am very concerned about that. So it doesn't bode well, especially a person like me who, whose dream is always to be in the industry. It's just like, can I be in this industry? Like, with all of this? Like, it's still the most volatile thing going. And that's the part that's very disappointing.
I agree. So again, best wishes to anyone who might be affected by these workforce cuts in and out of Microsoft.
Absolutely.
All right, next up here, Xbox announced some interesting stuff this week in their May update on the Xbox Wire, namely one that I got tagged in a lot is Retro Classics coming to Game Pass. For those who don't know, Retro Classics is a collaboration with Antstream Arcade, and they're adding 50 plus classic Activision games from the 80s and 90s. Titles they use as a reference here in their Wire article are Commando, Grand Prix, Kaboom, Mech Warrior 2, 31st Century Combat, and Pitfall. They said this initiative is a step to our commitment to game preservation and backwards compatibility, allowing players to experience many timeless games on modern devices. With Retro Classics, Game Pass members can experience a seamless gaming experience across console, PC, and on support devices with cloud gaming, whether playing on Xbox console, the Xbox app on PC, or streaming on supported LG and Samsung smart TVs, Amazon Fire Stick TVs, and MetaQuest headsets. Retro Classics offers a versatile and accessible way to enjoy these nostalgic titles. They allow achievement progress as well. So that's here. The ability to save and reload your progress, which is a first for many of these classic titles. I've done the Antstream Arcade before. It's pretty good. There's definitely like hundreds of titles on their service. So it's kind of, if I were to draw a comparable here, this is a little bit similar to, on a smaller level, what Xbox did with EA Play. Where they kind of bring a service into the service. Gotcha. This is like a curated version of what Antstream Arcade is doing. Nice. Very cool how they picked out Activision stuff. Obviously, this is before my time, so it's a little less exciting because some people have asked me, like, what does this mean? Like, are they going to throw, Transformers in there? Are they going to throw Prototype in there? I'm like, since it's an Antstream Arcade collaboration, no. That's a whole separate ball game. But I like that they're doing this. I like that this is here. I like that they're just catering to literally like the oldest demographic in Game Pass. And so, sorry, you pointed to yourself like that, man, bro. I didn't know you were going to actually single yourself out like that. They pointed at people who've been here since the dawn of gaming.
Since the dawn of time. Don't do that to
so you can knock the dust off some Retro Classics and have some fun with Pitfall. Cog, your thoughts on your childhood?
I can't with you right now. Listen, Mr. Retro Rebound. All right, you will respect this damn retro. But to your point, yes. For the younger generation, you might not be as excited for this. These are, super old school games. But for like people like me and King that grew up with this. This stuff. This is very cool. This is very nostalgic. Very the core of where gaming started at. And what people forget is like Activision has been around for years. I remember playing Pitfall. That was like their little Tarzan game for the time. That was super cool. And a lot of these games, like I said, like you said, go back. And I like the fact that they said Antstream and this integration. So it seems like a curated list, and that's cool. Hopefully now, this gets the ball rolling on what the majority want, which is those classic ABK games that are a little bit more modern, the Spider-Mans, the Transformers, the Marvel Ultimate Alliances. That's what everyone's waiting for. And this, at least I feel, is a good sign because you still had to get the licenses from Activision. And then shout out to Achievement Support. Remember, we always was giving them smoke, with how PlayStation was lapping them with a lot of stuff as far as adding the older games and this is the kind of stuff I want to see from them. So I saw Jay Serrato actually tweet this, which is a big deal, saying that they're proud. So now I'm getting a sign, okay, they're working now. Now things seem to be a go. And what I'm hoping, again, a prelude to the showcase, because there's so much stuff happening and being announced before the showcase. What I'm hoping for is we get the big drop. And it's like, yo, play these other joints right now, the ones you've been waiting for.
Absolutely. Wanted to also cover some other stuff in this May update because I think they are of note. They added Microsoft Edge Game Assist to the PC game bar. So it's a in-game browser specifically for players. And, you can load it up and it'll have tips, walkthroughs, playlists, and that sort of stuff built right into your game. So that's there if you need a little bit of help getting through. GeForce Now update. They say Xbox players now have the additional option in the Xbox PC app for playing via cloud streaming providing even greater flexibility in how they play. GeForce Now has been added as an available option for PC gaming on participating titles, allowing players to choose their preferred streaming platform for gameplay. So pretty significant there. Scrolling down a little bit here, stream your own game, over 100 plus games. We're adding more games to stream your own game collection for Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta. The Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members can stream from a library of over 100 plus playable titles. They've just added in Armor Reforger, Deliver at All Costs, Monster Energy Supercross, Project Wingman, Road 5, and Roadcraft. Coming soon is Disney Illusion Island, Auto 1800 Console Edition, Hello Neighbor 2, Just Dance, Life is Strange, Before the Storm Episode 1, Life is Strange True Colors, Monopoly, Skull and Bones, Sunderfolk, and Watch Dogs Legion. And then they highlight that there are 70 plus games now in Xbox Play Anywhere. And as much as I'd love to sit here and read them all to you, that list is damn long.
Yeah,
so we're gonna leave that a little bit up to you. But nonetheless, pretty good month for Xbox here. A lot to show off in this update. So they're cooking right now. Looking pretty good.
Love these platform updates. Shout out to the Play Anywhere initiative. I've always championed that. That to me is the future. I love that. And then shout out to the you own your games, you stream your game initiative. Keep adding that. Again, this is realizing the vision. That's what we want to see. All you got to do now is land that plane, get us those. Shout out to the GeForce Now, though. That's huge.
Yeah.
Giving people the option on what some people may view as the superior service. Mm-hmm. So wherever you are, again, this is what I'm talking about. Get everything integrated. Then you start to sell people in the vision. Still waiting on the UI. We still got some more work to do, but this is great that I'm seeing improvements on platform stuff. That's really cool.
Agreed. Well, hey, NVIDIA might be involved in that next console of theirs because Xbox, according to Jez Corden, is talking to Steam and others for its next console. Here's what he wrote in a report on Windows Central. Quote, "For my part, I can say that Xbox has been in talks with PC storefront owners, including Steam's Valve, about what exactly that might look like. There have also been rumors that full integration is even in testing, although I take that with a pinch of salt for now," end quote. So I did a video on Retro Rebound, because I know Valve is obviously the hot topic, but I did a video on Retro Rebound highlighting GOG's game preservation program to kind of keep it in line with this Retro Classics thing. And it's fantastic. Like, they go in and they literally get into the guts of these older games and update them and make sure not just that they run on modern platforms, like that they're compatible with modern operating systems, but they're also making it where these games that have like bugs or glitches, audio mixing issues, like these sorts of things get fixed by GOG and their preservation team. So they're not only taking the past and making sure it works, but they're fixing it too. So it's really cool. And I was thinking about Xbox and their future and how if they're bringing PC storefronts to their consoles, I mean, GOG has like a DRM free policy where it's like, I know it's not the same as like buying and literally like physically having it, but they do have it where it's like, this is yours when you buy it. And I thought about that combined with Xbox's future and sort of what a GOG partnership with game preservation could unlock for console users who like back compat. And I mean, it's not like, I say this all due respect with Retro Classics, where it's like, these are for people my age, more obscure titles, right? We're talking about, they have like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines in there, Fallout New Vegas, Dragon Age Origins is in there. They have Deus Ex in there. They have Silent Hill 4 in there. They have Dino Crisis 1 and 2. So they have a lot of stuff there where I feel like these PC storefronts can, if they merge themselves with Xbox in an interesting way, there's different angles where if you're like a console player who likes retro stuff, then GOG on the next Xbox is huge, right? Yes. So them talking to multiple PC storefronts has me excited because obviously Valve is the most attractive one. It's like, dude, I have such a huge library there built in that just like needs to happen for so many of us. But if you add on top of that, icing on the cake is like GOG with that kind of retro focus. That's with the Xbox library and Game Pass is a very compelling platform. Just the amount of built-in content you have there, the accessibility you have there, very exciting. So Cog, kick it to you. What do you think about Xbox talking to these PC storefront owners and trying to get them involved in the ecosystem? Obviously, it's been a rumor for a while, but it seems like it's actually gaining traction here.
Yeah, if the rumors are to be true, this is the future I want. That's how you differentiate yourself as, a new platform or a new console, kind of thing. And look, we don't know what the pricing is going to be. We don't know how the financials work, because that's still a big question, right? How does Xbox benefit in this world? And the only thing I can think of is that, they look at it as, hey, we rather get, 70 to 80% from all these different I'm making up a fictitious number. I'm not saying that's what the splits are, but we'll rather get a certain percentage, a high percentage, as opposed to 100% when you just have this ecosystem where it's just us. Where it's just us and it's only Xbox, and it's only the Xbox store, when you have limited people accessing that, right?
Yeah.
And now you're presenting a GOG, a Valve, an Epic. And again, what I like about it as a gamer, it fills all the gaps, right?
Yeah.
All the games, damn, I can't play it because, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the thing for me. That's exciting to me. To me, that's the future. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons why, despite the ROG Allies clunky, terrible Windows 11, the most exciting thing was native Game Pass. Any storefront, I can play the game, and it's going to be at the highest performance. So, yeah, that excites me. And then, granted, maybe I'm a hardcore. I'm the niche that doesn't facilitate them and make them win a console war. That's a fair argument. But I think that personally, they don't care. They're about this hand over fist money. And if you satiate your core with this device, then let's call it an enthusiast device or a high-end device that may be expensive based on the tariff situation. We don't know, right? But you've got your 35 million that's going to most likely stay there in that ecosystem, get this device that also now can attract more games, more storefronts. That's exciting, right? And even if they don't get the PlayStation and the Switch guy to say, yeah, I'm going to buy it. People have to get out of this antiquated thinking now. And it's hard for me too, because I struggle with it, right?
Yeah. No, this is all we've known.
It's all we've known. So it's like Xbox is like doing this so radical different thing, but we've got early data to say, hey, you know what? It may not matter. Basically the vibe I'm getting is the Xbox vibe I'm getting from them is let PlayStation and Switch do that. Y'all handle that. Y'all want to be the console kings? Knock yourself out. We're going to be the biggest publisher, sell all things everywhere, and happen to have this device that our base might be very excited for. And now we just got to see the execution. The key with Xbox is always the execution and the messaging. That's the key for Xbox. They need to pull those things off. And if they do, this is a great thing. So, in my opinion, so we'll see.
Yeah, very excited about that because, again, these are the differentiators, I think, future term that make Xbox very compelling. You know, if you're going to ditch, for example, the idea of exclusivity and accessibility becomes your primary focus, it's like accessibility through cost cutting. I think Game Pass is one of those. Or by having a huge, if you're a PC player and you have an Xbox library too, hundreds of games just there day one. Is incredible. And especially if they do the Series X, Series S approach of the handheld and the console feels nice and looks nice where it fits in the living room well. So you kind of bring in the casual, but the hardcore PC fan can use it as well. I think there is a bright future in that idea if executed well. And it's a lot of what we hope it is.
Yeah.
We got some stats for you here. Next up is Doom: The Dark Ages. It has reached 3 million players at a rate that Bethesda clocks as 7 times faster than Eternal and is marked as id Software's biggest launch in its studio's history. Now, I honestly, as an Eternal head, immediately looked at this and read it the wrong way.
Okay.
Maybe wrong is not the right word, but I immediately looked at this and went, damn, Eternal really didn't do that well. One of the best first-person shooters ever. Didn't pass 3 million that quickly. That's crazy to me. It reviewed so well. Such a shame, but I'm sure it is very happy with themselves here. There's a good player count here. As expected with the Game Pass game, the Steam player count isn't crazy high. It's not really up there compared to Eternal. But it's good to know that they're doing pretty all right here. Would love to see sales numbers. So we'll talk about that next month. But I haven't really read into the sentiment online about this game. Have you finished this one up yet?
Yeah, I'm reading into the sentiment. I've got
what some. Feel?
I have to admit, I think the world is. I should say the world. I would say the hardcore are leaning towards your thought process. I've got some messages for some people, for some OGs that were like, "Hey, my Doom." Everybody else like it.
Oh wow, that hardcore. Damn.
Yeah. Hey, what about OGs? I ain't gonna call them out, but. I was funny. I was like, "Are you being an old man?" He was like, "No, I'm just saying, they need to call this something else. This ain't that." I was like, "Yo, you would have been smiling, laughing. You'd have been like, yeah." My dude is straight Eternal, like bro, like that's the wave. And he's just
I'm not like that, to be clear. Just like I think all the Doom games are great in their own ways. I just think Eternal's like above pretty much everything by a large margin.
And my dude is just wild disrespectful. He's just like, this ain't like,
he's like me with the flannel. Like,
he's like, oh, these kids think this is that. Then he trying to challenge me on lore. I'm like, I don't know the lore like that, but you know, he it is, and obviously so bro, he was in his bag. We had like a good 2-day DM back and forth. I'm teasing him. I'm like, well, the masses like it. They'll agree with you, but we'll see. To your point, I mean, look, the 3 million, that sounds great. I was in defense of the people who don't like Dark Ages as much. I was surprised as far as the Steam count, though, because I think I saw something comparatively to Steam count before, and it seemed like it was much higher. So, is it a situation where people are now feeling, or we got to be real, this thing kind of came out Expedition and Oblivion in the zeitgeist? I worry about that part. So we'll see when that Shakana come out. To me is when I want to see.
I think it was a lot of factors. You pointed out some of them. If I were to lean into my own thoughts a little bit, I know based on just like the amount of coverage I do for Xbox and Bethesda, that at least on my audience seeing Doom, that first developer direct, our guard went up a little bit. Like it was like, damn, that looks really good. But they were saying a lot of things and throughout their marketing campaign kept saying a lot of things that I think tempered people. And so I think with how many options, combined with you said, how many options were around, I think some people are getting to Doom later. I think Doom will be a highly played game, but I think it's also a sale game for a lot of people.
I think so. I think we're in the era now. Again, when we're talking about the whole Game Pass thing and stuff like that, where people are like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to run out there and just get you right now. I'm still working on this. I'm still working on that. That's why I want to see the hardcore sales with Sakata. And then also I want to see, you know, is it, and I'm not trying to put you in this box, is it a vocal minority of the hardcore, or the casuals did really rock with this and, you know, it didn't affect, you know, the overall thing as much as I thought. 'Cause I was surprised by these stats to see them say it was faster, 7 times faster than Eternal. I was like, really? I was actually surprised by that.
I also think it was a little bit of unfortunate timing that they have a parry mechanic and they release next to a parry turn-based game that's kind of like turning a genre on its head. So I feel like that could be part of it. Like, how many parry games do you want? I mean, the games go, if you're like a hardcore gamer, like these games marry each other beautifully. Like you're just in your parry rhythm with both of them. But I wonder if that had something to do with it. But yeah, I'll be curious to see the sales numbers and how it did over time. It's clear it's doing well. You know, how many of those players are purchases, we'll see. But it seems like it's doing pretty well, and I'm glad they're having a strong launch. And I do think the more casual side of things will win out, because the thing I admitted, I said in my review too, is like Eternal is very hardcore. Like I think Skill Up said this. So I want to give him credit because I think he said this in his review, but he kind of defined it as Eternal was basically like id saying, this is how you should play Doom.
Yes.
Like, this is how we would do Doom. And they made a perfect game, pretty much. Then Dark Ages felt like, this is your Doom. How hard do you want it? I think they dialed it a little too easy personally, but I was like, how hard do you want it? And like, you don't have to do the weapon wheel combos, like shotgun to, you know, like you don't have to do those swaps and exploiting weaknesses. It's just like shoot and dodge, like classic Doom, but a little more complexity with like deflection. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see how the numbers shake out. But for me, I'm glad to see it's doing well. And like I also said, I think they're kind of out of gas on this series, and I think it's time to move to the next thing. 10 years of great Doom is a good place to kind of leave off and turn the page to a new chapter.
Yeah, good 3-piece set of reimagining. I'm with you. A
lot of people. Oh, sorry. I was interrupting.
No, please. No.
I was going to say a lot of people are suspecting Quake because of the way Doom: The Dark Ages dramatically changed the gameplay from Eternal, that they're almost setting up for that next step. I know nothing about Quake, so I have to do my research. So I don't know if you could comment on that, but
nope, same. I'm not a Quake guy. I will be a universe new to me. That's one of the few gaps during that era. Again, that's more Sarv and King. They've always been the Doom, the Quakes. Like I've been the casual guy. So for me, Dark Ages was, remember I told you, like when you I was like, oh, this is exactly what I was expecting. You know, and it felt like old school Doom, just frenetic moving around and you know, that kind of strafing a lot. Like it had an old school feel to me, and I was like, that's what I remembered it for. You know,
Yeah, Yeah. So good to see it doing well. Excited for what they're doing next.
No doubt.
All right, we're nearing the end of our Xbox news. Still got a couple more here to go over. Gears of War, the movie with Netflix, now has its director, according to the Hollywood Reporter. It is David Leitch. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. Still working on my Hollywood. But he directed Bullet Train, The Fall Guy, and Deadpool 2. And hey, this is a great time for me just to jam in there. Bullet Train is fucking underrated. That is an awesome movie. I love that movie, bro. So good. Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, just very fun, very funny. The style of it, like I adore that movie. I thought it was really, really overlooked when it came out. So I'm excited about this. This seems like an interesting fit, like that mixture of comedy and like high action and style. This could be a good fit. So what do you think of the director selection here?
Yeah, I like the resume. The resume gives me, okay, we have some pedigree here.
Yeah.
I love the Deadpool 2 aspect too. Because now we can get some comedy. We can, have some over the top. So I'm excited. Again, the key is going to be for them. And with the learnings I'm hoping for, when you have a fallout and you have what's going on right now, please, that source material. Please. Please.
So important.
Because
the gamers are like we're the kickstart to that engine, man. Then the masses will take over, but we're the ones who put it to that area.
Bro, because I got to keep lashing y'all with that Halo. I'm sorry. That was not it. Master Cheeks was not it. I don't care what nobody's saying. I'm dying on that. Y'all can say, oh, I liked it. It got dropped, bro. Nobody don't want it. I'm dying on that one. I do not agree with the Xbox fan base on that one. Please consult the sources. Get the people in there. You see when God Howard is in there, what happens? You see when Neil Druckmann, for the most part, what happens? Respect the source material. And I'm curious, though. Will Cliff Levy consulted? And I don't. That's my worry. That's what has me.
I agree. They got to bring him in to some extent, man. That's
the damn issue.
Yeah, I gotta know because it's frustrating from the outside looking in. Unless there's something happened that we really don't know.
Right.
Like I get the guy is from just out there, very vocal, says what's on his mind. Yeah. I know that rubs people the wrong way a lot, but dude, this is his baby, and you're about to reintroduce it to the masses. You got E-Day on the way, which is built off his era of Gears completely, different from the sequels. Like you're leading into what started his story.
Because the new ain't working the way the old was.
Yeah, it's I feel you need that insight of just getting into his head. Like it doesn't mean you have to let him make creative calls if you don't want him to, but just hey, what were you thinking here? When I was listening to, I've not watched, by the way, The Last of Us season 1 or 2, but I was listening to Colin's interview with Neil, and there was something interesting Neil pointed out about making season 2, about just kind of actors presenting ideas and being you know what, that sounds better, and kind of rolling with it. It's having a guy who is there for the foundation of a titanic Xbox franchise and being here's what I was thinking. I mean, obviously it could lead to creative differences and creative. Of course, we know how passionate Cliffy is, but of course. I just feel the reimagining of Gears has been good, but not as great. Gears 4 and 5, I really like them in different ways. I remember in a sorted out section on Summon Side, someone made it very clear they hated Gears 5. There are a lot of people who don't like this new era of Gears. And I'm with you on what you just said there, where it's they did kind of walk away from it, bro. That story's incomplete. And they're we're doing E-Day now. I'm yeah, you're doing E-Day now? That still is a head scratcher in the way of that is clearly no direction. And I think 4 and 5 carried the torch for Gears better than Halo did with 4, 5, and Infinite. But still, it's clear that era of Gears is not jiving as well. And so if you're going to go back to that and you're going to introduce that to the masses, we see what happens when those original creatives have hands on. Right? Yeah. It's so important for even, one of the things that before we even got the great story of Fallout, it was the props, it was the sets. When that was leaking from Amazon, when the people who were on set were sending pictures and it was leaking, it was people looking at the stim packs, looking at the mentats, looking at the power armor and going, oh my God, this looks fucking good, dude.
Oh.
That does so much, that alone. So I feel you got to just bring in beyond, we're going to bring Coalition because they are the current stewards of Gear. Bring in the dude who made it.
What I'm saying. And I think even with Jaffe, right? Didn't they consult him or hit him up for the Twisted movie?
Did they? I don't know.
I got to hit him up. But the thing is this, like you said, because you want this world to be believable. You want that nuance. So unless you're telling me he's the most explosive, I can't work with person in the history of video gaming that you can't even consult, like I find that hard to believe. So whatever politics that are going on behind the scene, do what's best for the game and for the movie. And that's, if you don't want him on the game, all right, fine. But the proof is you are bending the knee and going back to his vision, because like you said, with E-Day and now with Reloaded, and you only give him one with Reloaded, you seem like you want to stay in this early prequel energy because that's the more popular thing. You will have to pay homage, and if you care about the source material, if you care about this thing being successful. That's just me.
I agree. So we'll see what they do. Fingers crossed, though. All right. Last bit of Xbox news before we jump into some fun PlayStation stuff. Oblivion Remastered's completion rate is concerning to some, and it is making a few headlines, I noticed. It's at 3.03% on Xbox. I was surprised this was making headlines, because it's exactly why I cover Bethesda so much, because there are so many people who just don't know what they're talking about. No one gives a fuck about the main story. Like, no one beats a Bethesda game almost ever. I beat Skyrim once, right? I think no one, for the most part, beats these games repeatedly, unless it's like Fallout 3, where the story's like 8 hours long, really, across a like 40, 50 hour open world game. But no one beats these things. They play them. They go into those worlds. And I imagine most of these players are still like roaming caves and dungeons. By the way, I say as someone who thinks Oblivion's story is like one of the best that Bethesda's done, which isn't like a really high bar, but it's very entertaining. It's interesting. It's got great actors and actresses spread throughout. Like, it's awesome. But this is not what people play Bethesda games for. It's the world. It's the adventure. It's the sides. It's a rare beast where the side stories are what you beat. I'd be curious to see what the Thieves Guild completion rate is. I'd be curious to see what the Brotherhood, Dark Brotherhood completion rate is. I'd be very interested to see what those are compared to the main story. I imagine they're around the same area, but that would speak to exactly my point, is that the main quest is literally another guild. That's how I tell people to look at it with an Elder Scrolls game. It's just another guild. And people go to what guilds interest them. They might just do like Dark Brotherhood, Thieves Guild, and that's it. That's their story.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, you appreciate it. I'm literally, in fairness to the article, I am curious what the PlayStation completion rates are. Now, if we come back in the data, it's like, 40% of PlayStation people beat the main quest. Okay, that is interesting, right? But I'm with you. The structure of Elder Scrolls games is go out there, see this world, encounter it in way that you choose to encounter it. And that's what it, bro. I remember like it was yesterday. My first thing was like, bro, how do I get to the Dark Brotherhood? How do I, Holy Mother, Dark Mother? What do we got to do?
Kill that NPC and go to sleep, brother.
Bro, Thieves Guild, how we doing this? Like, and you go to what interests you. And again, like you said it perfectly. Yes, Oblivion's story was a better story, for an Elder Scrolls game for the most part. But the main quest historically, right, haven't been like the strongest things. That's why that's one of the reasons why I really love Starfield, because I felt like that main quest line was one of their best. And I was like, oh, wow. And then we got a little end game thing going on. Okay, cool. That's unheard of. Usually it's like, let's live in this world. Let's do these faction quests. Let's see what loot, there's cool stuff and what cool places we'll encounter across the way. It's a living world. So yeah, that stuff doesn't really concern me overall. And then overall, let's be honest, like gaming as a whole completion rates, in my opinion, are down. I feel like the attention spans with all the, the Sinister Six games and these living games and stuff like that, people are not finishing games the way they used to. And then obviously you got a service like Game Pass on Xbox. What do you think's going to happen when you can you have a buffet every week to try something? What do you think's going to happen? That's why I owe people, I think
Xbox completion percentages will always be lower because
like people overblow this stat. Like this is indicative. It's what the environment has presented itself to its base, which is, try all this stuff, man. We got a whole smorgasbord. What you want this week? What you want today? That's what it is. So it's like, to me, it's in line with that.
I agree. Let's talk a bit about PlayStation before we really talk about PlayStation in our main news of the show. Jade Raymond, the founder of Haven Studio in 2021 behind the upcoming Fair Games, has left the team. The game is reportedly arriving spring 2026, according to Bloomberg, with 2 new studio co-heads leading the charge. For those who may or may not remember, Jade Raymond is of Ubisoft fame. She was like a lead producer over there for a while, made her name there, and then since 2017 has not released anything. So these legacy studios demand a conversation. I say with all due respect to any veteran developers out there, but what the games industry is learning in this new phase of like legacy studios, you know, people like we talk about how they like leave and start forming their own teams, and it's usually driven by like a few key names. What people are learning is that game development, some people, this will be very obvious. So I apologize if I'm preaching something very, very apparent to you, but it's teamwork. It is not like one person cannot just uphold. I mean, it's extremely rare. I look at a Stardew Valley and an Undertale. Those are the 2 that come to mind of like one person did all of that. And they are complete anomalies. Otherwise, like those founders, those names, great for pulling funding, because boy, does this industry love reliability, which is hilarious because some of these names are just unreliable, but they love the idea of reliability. And as someone who's in the pitching process, they're incredibly skeptical of people like myself who have never funded a project before, which makes sense. You're playing with house money, and they're like, we don't want to burn cash. So it makes sense. But it's so interesting to see how continuously these legacy studios just do not pan out, and that like the people that you paid the money for in the first place are gone before you even ship anything. But this is not just a Jade Raymond thing. This is across many a team. There was the Mac Walters team who left BioWare. One of the potential success examples ramping up right now is James Olin and Drew Karpyshyn for Archetype, who is working on Exodus right now. That's looking good. But Casey Hudson has failed multiple times, and that is like a storied name in gaming. The reality is that these are good for faith. Amy Hennig, another example, it's been a while for her. These are storied names for a reason, and they deserve it, but they were not done by themselves. They were fortunate enough to be at the center of those conversations, but it's the team that surrounds them. And what's happening is we're gradually seeing more and more that these companies need to invest not in an individual, but rather the squad they present around them, which is typically how you would pitch, by the way. But I just keep seeing this happen where I'm like, the other thing, man, is like these companies are getting taken for a fucking ride. Like she still gets paid for all this. You know, not to vilify her, because this is not just her again, but like she still gets paid to do this job. She gets paid as a founder. She might get an onboarding cost and everything. Like she gets paid a lot of money. Like there's like something to be said about all this, right? Just like she gets her bag and she's out. I mean, come on, bro. You haven't released anything since 2017. You're still making headlines. Like, bro, like think about that from a sports angle.
Yeah, that's good.
You haven't hit the field in 7 years and you're still like collecting bags. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I feel like
these companies need to do a better job of picking who is going to be directing things that they're putting tens, hundreds of millions of dollars into. Because it's, again, this is more just a talking point broadly speaking. In the case of Haven Studio, we'll see how Fair Games goes, but these legacy studios are not it. You got to look more into the team. What's the experience surrounding that individual? What's their chemistry like? How far along is their pipeline, if it exists at all? These are such important things that clearly are being overlooked. 2021 releasing spring 2026, and it's been in hiding, and there was no gameplay when it was revealed in 2023. What do you think's happening? I mean, I listened to Colin talking about it.
Me too.
And he, by the way, to be clear, has not told us a thing. I didn't ask him about it or anything like that. I just got the vibe. Colin knows that this is a fucking shit show in the meeting. Like I could just hear him saying, like, "Yeah, I know, but I can't say anything." I was just
I caught him when he's in that.
Colin knows this shit's ass, bro.
The energy he was given was interesting. I will say that. I will say that for sure. Look, man, it is, man. This is when I read the Bloomberg report. The first thing I thought of was they said, you know, PlayStation didn't give a reason for her departure. It came several weeks after external test. It came several weeks after the external test of the game. According to people with knowledge of the matter, some people at Haven were concerned about how the game was received and its progress. And the people, so that to me is this comes after seeing it, right? Whatever's going on, and they're like, nah. And we already know, right? In a Hiroki Totoki world, that we got a Bungie situation, but we've got a Concord situation. Bro, this is not going to fly. Yeah. And the thing which makes it really egregious is that, bro, like I was one of the guys. Yeah, Brad laughs at me. He clowned me. This is one of the funniest. I had to take my L because this is one of my funniest things in gaming. Like I am the guy when you debut some new stuff and you debut something cool that I think is cool from a technological standpoint. I'm the first adopter. Yeah. I'm the guy that's like, sign me up. I want to see what that's about. Bro, I watch the Stadia release full on.
Bless you.
Oh, bro.
Bless you.
All the integration. Oh, they're going to integrate YouTube. Bro, they're taking first party seriously, bro. They got Jade. She's going to run first party.
I forgot she did that. Holy shit.
I was there for the press conference. I watched it in full. Phil Harrison, no longer there. Jade Raymond, no longer there. And I'm sitting, I'm like, okay. And y'all got the tech. Y'all got at the time, the fast. It was more superior than xCloud, right? It was doing more things. It was in the browser. It was also, and we got the power of Google, YouTube, all these things. I'm like, you know what? Okay, xCloud, you got some competition. I'm here for this. Bro, didn't release a game. She has not released a game in eons, right? So now you have this, and it's just like, bro, it's a horrible look to me. Like, it's just, we have to be real. At the end of the day, we're living off of old Jersey names in the back outside of the performance. The name on the back,
the name of the rappers.
There we go. You know what I mean? And it's just, that's where I'm at with it. And they're not playing, you know, and especially this live service initiative that has not panned out, that has literally, you know, put them in a dire situation. What is good? Let's just say best case scenario, right? You know, they have to show it again or make changes to it. Who knows how long it's going to take to come out? Worst case scenario, it's Concord. They scrap it, which means now she left the studio she founded.
Mm-hmm.
The studio and I can normally when studio heads leave, I don't get too crazy because okay, they got the bag at such and such. I get it. Someone threw a crazy bag. We're gonna get into someone else where I feel that happened to, right? Cool. They threw a bag. I got it. You know what I mean? No one when they say they reach for comment and there's no. You got let go. That's how I have to look at it. I got to look at this is the casual pushing you out the door.
Yeah, you either choose to leave or we make you leave.
Yeah. And Sony seems to be the masters of this. Sean Layden, Jim Ryan. There's always, oh, yeah. You know, thank you for your wonderful service.
We're so thankful for what Jade Raymond has contributed to our project. We wish her nothing but the best.
That's the verbiage you got to look for. When you see that verbiage and no comment from the person being removed and no thank you, it was great, or hey, I'm announcing I'm at blah, blah, blah games now. Bro, you got pushed. They saw what your homework was and they was like, nah, we're good on you. Bro, they took the $sign out the fair game. It's no longer $sign games. What are we doing?
It's gotta be tough in that environment right now because you're any game that Bungie, Fair Games, you know, just like these post Concord live service PlayStation initiatives have to be heavily scrutinized. Like I don't think there should never have been room for like it's solid, but you know, I feel like that's where they're at. Like Fair Games could be okay, but it's just like the scrutiny around it is already very high going in.
Yeah.
And no one even knows a thing about this game.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate.
What Concord has done. So I feel like PlayStation knows that. And yeah, like if they looked at it, I mean, to be frank, I think the biggest moment of PlayStation really showing out if something doesn't meet whatever their quality level is KOTOR Remake. That was an explosive situation, dude.
Call out.
When you think about that, like that way where the story came out and they were like reportedly going, hell no, got dudes fired at a company they didn't even own. and then deleted the project from like their playlist and everything.
Whoa.
Hit the PlayStation blog. They were like, we don't want any part of this.
You gotta respect PlayStation on that. When it ain't popping, bro, they will cut the cord very disrespectfully. They don't care.
Like that sounded it's so funny, just to go off track. That sounded so personal that they got dudes fired at the company they didn't even own. Like they're like, hell no, you ain't doing that. Like, no, you're out. We don't want you in the industry. Crazy.
That's wild. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I have to go by with this situation. You're the founder, you're the student head. They had that first showing, so to speak. Well, not first showing, but like, let's get the latest update on it. Let's see how you are. And I just feel like, what's that meme with her? You know that meme where they got the Grim Reaper at the door and they got the blood trailing? Like, that's Hiroki going through the 10 live service game initiative for every studio that Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst was doing. He's not playing right now. And if you're not producing, you got to go. He disrespected Bungie wild in an early release where they were talking about structure changes. And he was just like, yeah, like the management, we're going to get into it. They're not playing over there.
I'm hyped to hear it. I have no idea, bro. I'm a listener in that segment. Like, I'm just like, all right, Kai, this is news. Go.
We're going to talk.
All right. Well, we got one more bit of PlayStation news here. It relates to Xbox a little bit more here. It is about Helldivers 2 studio Arrowhead, who wrote on their Discord, thanks to Forbes for catching this, where they say, the wonderful thing is that thanks to the amazing support of you fine people, Arrowhead's future is quite bright. We have the freedom to explore some really cool concepts that we couldn't have otherwise. Game 6, our next project, will happen that way, the way it will happen thanks to you. The next game is 100% funded by ourselves, so we'll call 100% of those shots in reference to multi-platform, exclusivity, that sort of thing. They did, just to be clear, in case is there a negative part of their relationship with PlayStation, they wrote, no way, PlayStation are great. There would be no Helldivers if it wasn't for them. We're open to working with them again in the future. They're incredible game/dev oriented, solid partners. And this is just me saying it like it is, not blowing smoke up their asses, end quote. So relationships there are still strong. Whatever Arrowhead does next, given the popularity, I imagine PlayStation will have a vested interest in to try and make it theirs. But this being 100% funded by themselves means they have complete creative control. RK128 writes in, blessed day, Cog and Maddie. Despite success releasing with PlayStation, Arrowhead seems to be going fully independent with their next project. They are even going full multi-platform, saying they are in 100% control on where it launches. Do you think the issues with Helldivers 2 on PC pushed Arrowhead in this direction, or is this another example of the changing tides with more people going multi-platform for their titles? Have a Sony's only successful live service developer just jump ship while Concord 2 and 3 get greenlit kind of day. I didn't even think about it from that angle. That's a good point, that like the one live service success is like, it's in our hands now. But Kai, what do you make of Arrowhead's comments here? Do you think this is them looking at like, well, if we released on Xbox and Switch, like, look at the numbers we got now. If we had those two, what we would have had in general. What do you think the feel is for them over there? They say PlayStation's a good partner, but do you think not Helldivers game, but sorry, Arrowhead game releases on Xbox?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it was a beneficial relationship because initially they got the look from PlayStation, and let's not take away the phenomenon that Helldivers 2 launch was initially. Like, it blew things away, and it was one of the best games of the year. And I do think, though, to RK's point, where I do agree with him, as the story continued, and then we learned about the launcher thing, and then the retraction of having to pull it from certain locations and stuff like that, I think that did have a little factor, right? As far as your reach and how much even more growth it was. This was the surprise success. This was such a hit. And then it was just, it's like all the goodwill was kind of snapped away from it with that announcement. I know they're doing content now and stuff like that. I hear things are still doing good. I haven't got a chance to play in a while, but
yeah, I haven't played since launch.
Yeah, same thing. But I'm hearing like new content. People are still excited. I will say that I'm going to beat a dead horse again. What I keep telling people the pattern is, right? With eventual the mercenary behavior, taking the exclusive bag from a PlayStation or even a Nintendo these days. Like, people are like, okay, but that's taken away from my overall pie at the Zeitgeist launch. And I just think it's just too much right now, not putting it on Xbox, not putting it on PC at the same time. And then, like you said, Nintendo's outside right now. Everybody
got multiplayer and party chat. Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? You got that now, right? You even got Expedition talking about, hey, we may look in the 33 Expedition over there. You know, that Switch platform look good. We may not have more energy for content for our current game, for more downloadable content, but we got energy to port what we have right now over there.
That's
so,
yeah,
bro, Expedition go crazy over there. What?
Yeah. Playing that shit on the go. I mean, I did it with the Steam Deck when I was reviewing the game. I had it on my Steam Deck, and it was amazing there. So
Nintendo audience, and then that was the Famitsu just came out, or it was like 999 across the board for Expedition. It's gonna do crazy. So yeah, I think Arcade's order something. I think it is a little bit of both. I don't think it's beef. I don't think it's like that. It's just one of those things. Hey, this was fruitful for us at the time. This is great. We got the exposure with PlayStation. This is awesome. Now for the next one, we want 100% control. We want to dictate where we want to go because we don't want to be in a situation where we can't. I think they realize their worth, right? We've maximized our potential. We know what we can do now, kind of thing. So I think it's that energy.
100%. This next one excites me. In speaking with the game business, Rebellion has stated that all development costs for Atomfall have been recuperated. So some people were mentioning like the player count on Game Pass, like, oh, they didn't make money though, but they say they've made all of their development costs back. And the studio is now discussing plans for spin-offs or sequels while working on the game's DLC. So this makes sense. You've been doing Sniper Elite for a long time. You go off the board once and it's your most successful game. Yeah, they're going to do more. This is very exciting though, because, it still needed to make sure it made that money back. And there was, I think for Atomfall, one of the things that it left you with is a bit of a hunger. When you finish it, you're like, man, they could do a lot with this franchise. Spinoffs is interesting because there is a bit of a open-ended ending to it. So I'm like, what would you spin off from? But sequels make this a franchise, man. You can see the hunger from people for more Fallout-like games. And I have not seen a developer emulate the Bethesda experience this well since Obsidian. Like, Atomfall fucking nailed it, dude.
That's good.
I still think about the game a lot. Just really,
I still got a chance to play. I gotta get back.
Really good. Yeah, bro. You'd love it. I know you'd love it. Just it's also short. That's the other thing. I hope when they scale up to make another Atomfall project, I hope they keep it tight. Because one of the things that was really appealing about it for so many people was like, yeah, finish this in like 15 hours tops.
Yeah. Like
there are multiple endings, but like finish this in 15 hours tops. Choice and consequence, good exploration, fun loot, solid shooting, really unique storytelling, no guide or compass, just like good old fashioned gaming. It's a really good game. So I'm excited that they're going to put more into it. And I think the sky's the limit. I think they can do a lot with it. So very, very happy about that. Any thoughts about Atomfall 2 or Atomfall spinoffs or DLC?
Not the Rebellion. I don't got too much to add. I pretty much agree with you. I just feel like it's so cool to see. I love that they recouped. I love that they're in position. I was worried about it. Obviously, remember we had our early impressions of that game at first was like, "Woo, we hope they get this thing across the finish line," and to see it land the way and see you talk about it the way you talk about it really gave me a boost of confidence. Like, okay, this is a really good. Because I know that's your genre. That's what you do.
So,
and to hear you like that game and Stalker, and I was like, oh, okay, they did hit. Okay, I got to get to it.
Fantastic. I always forget to throw in there. Stalker did what Bethesda does very well too.
Yeah, but see them hit that job. So yeah, salute to them. I'm excited, man.
Absolutely. All right, this next one, I did not expect to be vindicated so soon. Let's talk about Borderlands 4 at $80. Randy Pitchford was promoting Borderlands 4 for Switch 2. And when someone responded to his tweet saying, hey, Randy, don't do it. Don't make it $80. Well, he stood on his square as predicted. He wrote, A, not my call. B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starfight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach. And I found a way to make it happen, end quote. Cog, please take us away here. What are our thoughts here on Randy's comments on Borderlands 4 being $80? Figure it the fuck out. Be a real fan, why don't you?
I gotta be careful here, but look, is he wrong to the letter of the law? No. If you care about something, yes, you will get it. You will find a way. This is a luxury hobby. I get it. But it's like, bro, all you had to do was stop at, it was not my call. That's all you had to do. You are a marketing department's nightmare. Like, bro, like, I know they don't like you in that building. I don't care what nobody say. They won't admit it, but every time you open your mouth, you figure out a way to damage your own product. And no one's pulled you to the side and say, fam, just shut up and let it rock. I just came off of saying, you know who can't say they $80 based on their reputation? You know who people will look at? Remember I said the $80 price point is a price point that people with that established Zelda, Elder Scrolls, energy could put their chest out. I literally just said that, right? Here you go. Talk about, well, yo, if you real about it, you want to get down with us. Like, again, puffing your chest out like you're that dude. And that's what the energy is going to come off here. And I know people don't like, I don't really have a problem with Randy per se. I know a lot of people don't like him. I met him a few times. Yeah, he's a bit eccentric. He's a bit over the top, the magic tricks and all the craziness. Okay, I get it. I just look at it. You love to sell the game. You like to portray yourself like you the real dude. You one of us kind of guy. The problem is you just do so much damage to your team and your brand, bro. Yeah. And I feel bad for the people who worked on this game, which we all said when we saw that, yo, can't front.
Yeah.
Like the art direction.
Looks really good.
Can't front look good. You've got people saying now, what? Because of you, I ain't buying it. That's what people say, because of you now, I'm good on that. I'll wait. That is horrible. And then there's no, like, retraction or I don't know if it's your ego to say, yo, my words were a bit strong. I don't know what to say. This is a public relations disaster. If you work for that marketing department, if you work for PR, you cannot be happy with Randy right now. And I just worry that sometimes he gets in his own way with the, the bravado, the ego and that kind of stuff. So yeah, this sucks. Is he wrong 100%? No, I'm not going to say that because, yeah, you do got to, if you want to get something for sure, but you're not the guy, to me, in my opinion, to be saying it. And it's the old expression. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. That's what gets it. But where you at, Batty? I mean, I don't know.
Well, also the other thing I want to add on top of this. All right. Borderlands as a series sold over 93 million copies.
Okay.
So it's very popular.
Yes.
So I can see why he's got chest out energy.
Fair.
At the same time, Devolver Digital did quote tweet the Randy news and said, you'll be able to buy Mycopunk for you and 3 of your friends for the price of 1 copy of Borderlands 4.
Send the shots all over student. Wow.
So they took the shots. And then Randy quote tweeted that and said, Mycopunk is cheaper than a point of meth and probably has fewer side effects too.
Hey, yo, so see, this the ego. This is the...
And dude, this is what I talked about. I will take my victory lap just briefly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I literally said last week, people can go and listen to the episode. My exact words were, if you were Take-Two, you put the game at $70, even if you got to bite the bullet and make the cash you want, take a little bit longer to get there. Why? Because of this man. This man defended the shitty ass Borderlands movie like it was a fucking S-tier film. All right. This man, say what you will defend what he has worked on like nobody else. Everything Randy does is incredible to him. He will not fall back. When the Borderlands movie came out, again, I always say it like this because I know a lot of people haven't seen it. Understandably so. I am here to tell you, with someone with the utmost confidence who sat in the theater and went from start to finish with Borderlands, the movie, it is objectively terrible. It is shot horribly. I think CG from Phantom Menace is better. The script is terrible. The acting is awful. The costume design is fucking horrendous. The music is terrible. Everything about this movie is legitimately bad. Like, that's just what it is. And I think we all saw the trailers and knew that. That's why the movie bombed, by the way. But Randy was still on the street saying, his words were, I don't get how you get there by calling this a bad movie. He challenges the people. So if I'm Take-Two, it's not just like, oh, he did that with the movie. He does it with everything. Everything. So if you are Take-Two, and it is truly, by the way, I don't buy it, their call exclusively. Like this man who said, by the way, at PAX East, we have a marketing campaign starting soon where you'll learn the price point soonish. You are the top of Gearbox and you have no idea what this is going to be priced at. You're about to launch a marketing campaign with your release date in September. You have no idea. Come on, bro. Look, I'll take my L on GTA. Randy was right. He was like, we didn't move our date because of GTA. He was 100% right on that. You don't know at all. You don't have a fucking clue. Maybe it's not fully your call, but you got to say, bro. You can't tell me you don't have a say in what you've put into that product. Come on. But that answer he gave at PAX East was much better and more well thought out. Yeah. Like, if you go and watch the panel, he literally did the right thing. He deflected a little bit. He went, hey, it falls to Take-Two. At the end of the day, we think what we're going to put out is going to be worth it, whatever it ends up being. But he highlighted important things. He's like, we did more than double our budget from Borderlands 3 because people believed in us, bought a lot of copies of Borderlands 3, so we can shoot hard for this game. Mm-hmm. So like that was a good answer. I was like, okay, we're charging. We might be charging more because we put a lot into it. Ultimately, not up to me, but we think it'll be worth it for you when you buy it. That's all you had to do.
What you gotta do?
But then when you're Take-Two and you're pricing this thing out, if you're not accounting for this guy, you're failing. Yeah. Because when you put in $80, there will be one man alone on the front lines telling you it's worth it. And he will go to the most random fuck on Twitter about it. And that's Randy Pitchford. It is such a bad idea to price it at $80, not just because it's not worth $80 alone, because of what expectations is created for this game alone, right? It's like we're talking about a game that's $80, and that's already going to create unrealistic expectations that the game will never meet. It's going to fail potentially on that alone. But then you got a guy who's going to be taking headlines away from brand new features. By the way, they just did the whole PAX East panel detailing like dedicated loot drops and all this stuff about the game. Guess what the headlines are about? This shit. This. Why, if you're Take-Two and you know this guy, you can't act stupid. He has been a partner with you guys since Borderlands 1, probably longer, but at least to my knowledge, Borderlands 1. Why in the world would you ever put the game in this spot to fail when it looks really great for people like me who haven't liked a Borderlands game in a while? Exactly. Why would you do that? So, bro, get this man. I know you can't get him out of the way, literally, but get him in a spot where he can't fail. That's what you got to do, unfortunately, with a partner like that. If you continue to choose to work for him, and it truly is your choice, $70 is the way to go. Do not put it at $80 where he's like, let him, because all you can do is let him take his victory lap. See, you guys had nothing to worry about. And people tell him to shut the fuck up anyway, but at least it's a little bit of like, yeah, I'll buy it at $70.
Right.
I think already with this conversation, people are going to pirate the game a lot. I think a lot of people are going to be like, go fuck yourself, I'm not buying it now. Just like what happened with the movie. The thing is that Borderlands does have that pull. Almost, what was the number I read again, right? 93 million copies across all games. That's amazing.
Wow.
Like, it's got that pull, but does it have that pull? Like, how much of that, 30 million of that alone came from Borderlands 2, right? 30 million.
Yeah.
A third. So, obviously, all the other games aren't selling to that gangbuster level. Borderlands 3 did really well. I think it was like 20 plus. But will Borderlands 4 do that after Tiny Tina and the movie? Will it do that? Now you got this guy out here telling you be a real fan. I think you cut that number to maybe like 9, 10. That potential shrinks, man, and then it cascades. So they got to be careful.
Yeah, no, they do. And like I said, I just feel bad for that team because
I agree. Yeah,
that team worked very hard and really put out a very presentable product. And what I liked, everything that was being said about it. And then my concern is that the higher ups at 2K, because of his reputation, no one can muzzle him, and that may be the concern. But now we'll see.
Which is fine. Like that's you have to anticipate that if you can't muzzle him, clearly you have to provide talking points that don't put him in trouble.
Yes, like
$80 video games. It's avoidable. They can absolutely make a profitable game at 70 for sure, no doubt about it. All right, that's what's going on. Randy Pitchford, $80, Borderlands 4, Kingdom Hearts 4. How about that? New screenshots. It lives after over 3 years. Kingdom Hearts fans finally got a little something to snack on here. After canceling Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, they post on their Twitter account to our Kingdom Hearts community. We are currently working hard on Kingdom Hearts 4 and will continue pouring ourselves into the game's development. We're dedicated to making this an experience that lives up to your expectations. We are truly excited, or we've seen how excited you are, and we are truly grateful from the bottom of our hearts. We are equally excited and can't wait to share more about Kingdom Hearts 4 when the time is right. Until then, we appreciate your patience. Thank you for your continued support. And you'll see there's combat imagery, there's character model imagery, there's a phone, there's some Heartless, very anime, very serious, very realistic looking, which makes sense because this game's focusing on reality and unreality. Whatever that means.
How you feeling? How's the KH? How they feeling? How y'all feeling?
Everyone's just happy to finally get something. I want this game to be great so bad. I really do. But with the cancellation of Missing Link and then this game going dark again, like Kingdom Hearts 3 was like one of Square Enix's best-selling games. So for them to go dark on KH for so long, I think it was a really bad call. Because I think there's just this series is so untapped in the scheme of things. Like it's tapped dry in spinoffs, but in mainline entries, it could just do so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything looks pretty good.
Okay.
I think in a still image, you'll notice things like action games. I was talking to my art director about it. Like, our action games don't really use frequently shadows with their enemies to kind of like conserve on, performance, that sort of thing. So they'll usually use like built-in shadows. And like you would see like a screenshot like this frozen and like all the enemies have no shadows,
Mm-hmm.
but the environment does. It looks a little superimposed, a little faked. But the UI looks pretty good. The particle effects look pretty good for a game in production. Like, looks solid. I think Sora's appearance.
Yes.
I'm not fully vibing with anime Sora.
With it yet?
Not vibing with anime Sora yet. But honestly, all I want, bro, is like, I just want it to be good. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3 was Kingdom Hearts 3 had some of the best worlds, like going to these Disney worlds. I was like, yes, man. Like, I've always wanted to go to Toy Story, but like it was cut short because of like they didn't use the villains well, and like Disney was apparently a big pain in the ass with this game, from what Tetsuya Nomura said.
Really?
I'm hoping with Kingdom Hearts 4 that this is like, let them do their thing, because now we're like doing Star Wars. Like, they're going to do worlds that were previously unimaginable. Reality, unreality. Like, there's so many examples and potential worlds. Like, I really hope they cut them loose, and it's not just like playgrounds like Kingdom Hearts 3 was, but like Kingdom Hearts 4 really lets you like do what Kingdom Hearts 2 did so well. Kingdom Hearts 1 did so well. Like, you're interacting with the cast from the movies or the shows, and you're really like getting to know them and kind of retelling that movie, but in an alternate universe, and you're fighting the actual Disney villains. Like, that was a big thing KH3 was missing, man. So I have a lot of hopes for this game. I hope they deliver more than anything, but we'll see. Cog, any thoughts as someone looking? Have you played Kingdom Hearts at all? This is definitely your
This is white van energy.
White van energy.
I mean, I love y'all. I love y'all. You know why this game makes me laugh? Because I know how passionate the base is.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah,
bro. Attic goes super hard. And Attic told me, he's like, this story could be nonsensical at times, but he's like, I love this game. And I don't want to be disrespectful. Like, this is a huge, I see you, I see Attic, I see Brad, I see Dustin, everyone. This is one of the most passionate fan bases I've seen. And I do think it's cool with the Disney integration. Mm-hmm. I will admit, the mature little vibe looks a little better for me in this iteration. There's one thing they could do to make me consider. I still will not play these games, but the one that would make me consider is Attic always tease me with the one when y'all had Sephiroth and the Final Fantasy VII stuff.
I don't think I've seen him since 2.
Right. And I was like, well, what happened? Is it not, and he's like, yeah, it might be, the interaction with, the companies and stuff like that. And that if they're going to make it where they continue to do like that, and more popular franchises that kind of live and exist in these worlds, that kind of gets me, because then I look at you as the crossover game.
Well, yeah, that's what Kingdom Hearts was really born on. It was Final Fantasy meets Disney, and it was really cool. But that was the other thing missing from Kingdom Hearts 3. There was like very little Final Fantasy presence. And they said 4 will be better with that. But I'm like, how'd you even get away from that? That's like Square Enix's own thing.
Bro, that's how you get me. You got to lure me in with the worlds that I like from y'all, and then you go, okay, they gonna have some interactions. Okay, that's cool, kind of thing. But when I see the Goofy and the Mickey, and that's not gonna get me.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The most interesting thing to me about Kingdom Hearts 4 is that there was a game called Final Fantasy Versus 13, which is what ended up being Final Fantasy 15 in a lot of ways, but if you look at the reveal trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 and you watch frame by frame the Versus 13 trailer, Nomura is like running it back with this old canceled game. And that is to me the single point most, like even Yozora is Noctis. Like, it's just straight up Final Fantasy Versus 13. So there is this added element with Nomura being a meta-based storyteller, just breaking that wall constantly and taking basically a canceled project and resurrecting it through Kingdom Hearts. It could either go really well where it's like very Final Fantasy coded, like brings people like you in with that reality on reality thing, like kind of speaks to you a little bit more with like Disney being the seasoning on top, or it kind of could reek of like a little bit of like, dude, you should have just let this thing die off. Like, this is your, like, Kingdom Hearts is not your personal pet project to like, I can't let go of Versus 13's cancellation, so I'm going to make it happen here, even though it doesn't fit at all. Like, it can go one of those ways, but I'm very interested nonetheless, because there's so many weird elements attached to this game already, not just because of like the nature of what Kingdom Hearts is, but just again, that sort of element, that sort of mystery about like, are you really leaning into Versus 13? Like what's happening there? That I'm curious. I'm excited to learn more. Hopefully we get gameplay soon. Some people were like, are we getting trailers soon? I was like, I don't think so. I think this is literally just them throwing you a bone and just kind of letting it rock with that. But it didn't, for as far along as it looks in some areas, it's still like the same location that we saw from the initial reveal trailer. Gotcha. In fact, these screenshots don't offer too much new stuff from, what I remember, but we'll see. There's a new build mechanic too. I don't know what that is. Like building and scrapping. All right, next up here, Red Dead Redemption 2 is getting a current gen update according to Game Reactor. That is the report. So a lot of remasters and current gen updates and stuff happening at Rockstar, getting them a little bit more activity, which is exciting because I missed the Rockstar that was a little bit more active. But Cog, any thoughts on a next gen update or current gen update, I should say, for Red Dead Redemption 2?
Get that performance up. Let's get the bells and whistles popping. One of the greatest games of all time. So I can see Soft happy. He could be looking at all the horses he wants. That man goes hard for Red Dead, bro. So he'll be happy to see any type of significant bumps.
Right on. So yeah, not much more to say there, at least in my end. But Red Dead Redemption 2 might be getting current gen updates, so keep an eye out for that. Last little leg here before we get into what we're playing. Cyberpunk Orion, the follow-up to Cyberpunk 2077, has a little bit of interesting information here thanks to Mike Pondsmith, the creator of Cyberpunk. He described what seems to be a new city being added to the sequel. He said, quote, I spent a lot of time talking to one of the environment guys, and he was explaining how the new place in Orion, because there's another city we visit. I'm not telling you any more than that, but there's another city we visit, and Night City is still there. But I remember looking at it and going, yeah, I understand the feel you're going for this. And this really does work. And it doesn't feel like Blade Runner. It feels more like Chicago gone wrong. I said, yeah, I could see this working, end quote. So it seems like there's still going to be Night City as a playable element of Orion on top of bringing in a new city to romp through, which is very Phantom Liberty coded. Like they had Dogtown, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, is what it was called. And that was like a whole other section of the world added on top of Night City. And if they pull it off where they're like bringing two cities together, that's very exciting to me. Because I remember there was something that Cyberpunk said when you drove out into the Badlands too deep, where they kind of spun you around, like out there is like the direction to another city. So I'm wondering if the layout based on how they kind of teased it in there is like Night City, Badlands, and then the Chicago-like city. But very excited for this game. Cyberpunk 2077 is one of my favorite RPGs ever, especially after all the updates. It's fucking amazing. So just really excited to see what they cook with the sequel here. Any thoughts on a new city for Orion?
I thought Mike Pondsmith, man. You know, that's the legend, right? Sure. And hey, you give me another excuse to go back.
I've been hankering for it, bro. There's a lot of, it's funny, with all these RPGs that have been amazing, I've been hankering for just old and new. Like, just obviously Expedition, but then like I want to play KOTOR again. I want to play Cyberpunk again. I want to play New Vegas again. Like, God, man, kills me.
Just a reason excuse to go back into these worlds. I love it.
I agree. All right, Cog, it's time for what we are playing. What are you up to, man? I'm surprised with one of these on your list, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what's going on. Is this a little bit of cope, or is this a little bit of like, let me remind myself of the good shit, What's going on here? But anyway, fill us in.
Little bit of both. Yeah, I'm in a weird pocket because I'm like, obviously the top of the year has been explosive for us with game releases, huge games.
Yeah.
We've been going through all these things. And then I got some major ones off my list, obviously with Expedition and Splitgate and, obviously KCD 2 earlier. But then, shout out to Wars. I was able to get a hold of the DLC. And, bro, it's kind of what you just said about Cyberpunk. It reminded me of why, man, I love Kingdom Come Deliverance, the world of it. When I got back in it and I'm like, man, this is the best simulation style, hardcore RPG still. I love this world. It's a very relaxing feel. When I boot up that title screen, you're like, yes, I'm in the world of the lords. And I just feel good in Bohemia, bro.
The true Iron Lord game.
Yeah, man. It's just something about it. I love the management of, hey, yo, I check my nourishment stat. How's my energy be doing? All right, if I got to go, let me wait a few hours. And look, is this quest one of the greatest things they've ever done? I'm not going to say precious, but it's not better than like some of the main story quests of like, I remember when the bells tolled with Hans, and his life is on the line. Every time that bell rang, you're like, oh boy, we got to do something to kind of keep him alive. There's certain quests that are just the agency and the acting is dope. This is not that. This is though you're dealing with a very shisty figure. And this person will not tell you what his true motives are. You're doing things for him. You know it's bad. Listen, when anyone you meet for the first time is tied to a tree, someone left a man tied to a tree, almost savagely beaten and robbed. There's a reason he may have been savagely beaten and robbed. It may have been. And then, you got gullible old Henry coming on through, trying to save the day and try to be a good person. But what I like about the DLC is that, in my opinion, it is the perfect DLC for a person who finished the game because it challenges where you are, how your Henry is built. If your skill check Henry and your scholarship is not up, it's going to be a while before you can learn things about what's really going on with your man. And he's still being deceitful. But what I like, though, is there's times where it's like, do not kill anybody to accomplish said task, right? Or, we got to get on some real stealth. You got to break into somebody's room. You got to do this. You got to try to see some blackmail situation going on. I love that it utilizes both regions. We've got the Trotsky and we've got the Kutenberg region that you could go back and forth with. I'm very close to wrapping, and I think that depending on how they land it, because I'm taking my time, I want to do things in a very ideal way. I will admit this DLC is hilarious.
Nice.
Some of it's just complete food. Something I did to someone was so hilarious. First, they did the game. Not only did it test me in speech, how's my speech checks? Where am I with my stealth thing? Where am I with certain conversations with them? But it also had a thing where I had to do this one-on-one with someone, and we going to drink this out. We're going to drink this out, and I'm going to see if I can break you or you can break me. And then they had a moment where if your skill check was high enough and you faded out, where he's trying to battle you with the drinking game, bro, you can pour that joint to the side like he don't see so that your meter is okay because you got that drunkenness meter. Bro, fantastic stuff. But yeah, this it's hilarious. I love it. More importantly, it's the updates around the game that's dope. Because you have the like I said, you got two big balance updates. You got the horse racing, you got the shield creation stuff. You customize your hair. You got the haircut game. You got your goatee. You get your cut on with your Henry. You could go to the barber, get your shape up. You know what I'm saying? Like they've added so many good quality of life things. So really, this is just an extra thing on top of all of these other updates and horse riding, arrow stuff on horseback, like crazy stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, so far so good. Still love it. And yeah, look, I do expect, who's the champ. I'm not going to say it's not, but I have to admit, the gap is not as big as I thought it was going back into KCD. Yeah. I was like, nah,
I didn't know you had a big gap at all. Yeah, that's crazy.
No, listen, KCD was my game of the year prior to Expedition. I'm like, all right, they got it. This is nothing. Obviously, Expedition comes complete package, takes the world by storm. New form of turn-based, amazing, right? When I went back to it, though, I was just like, okay, Expedition is still better, but this is still great. Like, I want to be clear. Like, this is like right now a strong number 2, and the gap is like here. So that's why. And there's going to be some people, because I was speaking to I ain't gonna put his business. I was speaking to someone, and they're from our LSM fam, and they were like, yeah, the KCD too is, you know what I'm saying? Like, for them. So yeah, this is good, man. I would highly recommend it. Like I said, especially for people, I would say for people who beat KCD 2, you appreciate this DLC more.
Yeah.
Because you can play this if you didn't, but it's like you have to get to a certain point. I think it's when the bells tolls quest and whatever. But yeah, Brushes with Death, man. Shout out to Wars. I'm looking for the next content, where they're going to go with it. They got obviously a big roadmap. So yeah, I'm loving that. And then the second game. So we know what's going on a lot with Bungie. And
Bring it in.
Here's the thing, Maddie. Marathon for Destiny fans, we look at Marathon with the side eye. We look at you as like, you're the reason why.
Pre-plagiarism or post?
Pre-plagiarism.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah, we were like, bro, we look at you like, yeah, but you took away the resources from the moneymaker, from the reason we here, from the champ. And, it was one of those things, obviously we're going to get into the, what Bungie's been up to. But I had to go back because I know that they announced prior to all the controversies with Marathon, Bungie had announced content for Destiny, right? And the roadmap and yada, yada. So I was like, all right, let me catch up to the stuff that I didn't beat and then get to where I was. And look, it's solid stuff. Is it amazing? It's their best stuff. I will say it's their best quest post. Heresy is their best quest post Final Shape. Final Shape is the most amazing expansion. This is more of a smaller, bite-sized thing with some menial tasks in between. But again, if you love the story of the Hive, which again, I've always said in Destiny, case of emergency, game is failing, you do one or two things. You give back the Galahorn or you tell a Hive story. That is the faction that everyone cares about. Shout out to my homegirl, Deborah Green. Savathun is in this expansion thing, Heresy, in a major way. So I had to catch up, beat it, just so I could do the new stuff, which is the Rite of the Nine. And that stuff looks interesting. So to me, it's just my comfort food, bro. It's just good shooting, good sandboxing. I guess the way I'm looking at it, Manny, I don't know. My days might be numbered.
Days might be numbered, yeah.
So if this is the way I got to go, let me get everything out of this thing if things go left. And let me appreciate what I do like about it, So that's pretty much it. What about you?
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat for our next segment, so I'll try to keep what I got here brief for what we are playing. Mm-hmm. I have started to divert my attention a little bit from Last Defense Academy because I'm reviewing something that I'll be able to talk about shortly. I think in time for the next episode. I don't remember, but looking forward to talking about that. And then next up, though, Last Defense Academy. So I'm going to talk very lightly because I'm at the point in Last Defense Academy where I don't want to talk much more because it would start to spoil more mechanical things. But I'll just say I am post 100 days now, right? So there's 100 days and you find out what happens afterwards. I'm on the edge of my seat. The mystery here is amazing. I have like 35, 40 hours in it now. This is a big game because now I see where all the endings are. I see where all the endings are. And I'm like, oh boy. They gave me an example. I got to a story lock and they were like, you have to finish endings like 76, 79, 134. And I was like, did I see that number right? Like, that's not a fucking placeholder.
34.
So yeah, there's a lot of endings. So I'm a little overwhelmed in this phase of the game now. And I'm trying to figure out if there is like, do I beat all these endings or like, how does it go? Because some of these are goofy. I'm currently in one that is definitely something that I spoke too soon. The game really avoided the romance and fan service. And so I made a selection in my story and I am in I'm in my dating arc now. And I'm like, bro, I was here for the existentialism. I was here for like the death-defying mystery. And it's definitely at the first time I played the game. And I was like, man, get me out of here. So I jumped ship and I went to a different part of the story instead. But we're at that phase of the game. What I would say is the visual novel part of the game.
You want to get your romance on? You want to do that?
I'm chipping through it. So, because I went to a different story and then my brain, like, dude, it's so funny, by the way, because I was like, wow, I must really not like this stuff because I'm playing it and I'm just like on the couch, just like half in. Actually, that's when I started listening to Sacred. I was like, bro, I don't give a fuck. And then I was like, you know what? Let me pause. Let me pause the show, jump over to a different storyline, bro. Immediately, like I just felt like the blood flowing in my brain. Like I just clicked a gear and I was like locked in all of a sudden.
I could just interrupt you. I could just envision you clicking out as a character is professing their love for you, and you're like, yeah, this is.
Yeah. It's more like I could get down romance stories, but it's that anime writing, you know, like it's now like oh my God. I was like, nah, bro, I ain't here for this, bro. I'm turning 30 this year. I'm starting to get too old for it, right? Like,
you don't want to be googly eyed over you, Mr. Manny Flay.
Like, it's trying to give them like backstory when they're actually having the more wholesome or interesting character moments. It's great, but like the way they introduce them and it's written, I'm like, this is awful anime love writing that we're all too familiar with now. So like I said, I jumped ship. The other kind of critique I have at this phase now is it was very unique, but now that we're in this visual novel segment of the game, which by the way still has like the tactical gameplay a lot more than before. There's some pros that come with it, but the con that comes with it, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to like ruin it for other people, but it does find itself in a pocket now where I'm like, oh, you're doing that visual novel thing that like, again, it's a storytelling trope that allows visual novels to achieve what many of them set out to do. Like Zero Escape is guilty of it. And I don't want to say what that narrative choice is, but it is something that a lot of visual novels go to the well on. And what I like about the Kodaka visual novel experience, whether it was, Danganronpa or what Last Defense Academy was doing, is there was a level of surrealism, but it was all grounded and like there was no jumping around. You know, like we're actually over here now. It's that sort of thing. Again, saying it without saying it here, just in case anyone just over their head or they're tabbing through. But yeah, that was the thing that this game jumped into, where it doesn't lower it in my eyes, but it's like it went from it's now a little bit more blending with the crowd because of like now we're in the anime writing and we're doing this common writing trope, and I'm like, oh man, like we were like. So I think what's going to happen now is my opinion will go a bit up and down like this, because there are going to be stories that you can jump to that I'm like, oh, like where I jumped to, I was like, damn, they story locked me. That shit was good. And then I jumped to another point where I'm in my harem round. I was like, I don't know if I got to be doing this or not. Knowing how many endings there are, I'm like, certainly you don't want me to do all of this. So
a lot of endings,
a lot. I've heard people say like, yeah, I beat it. And like, I don't know. Like we had someone write in one time. They had or someone tweet at me. They were like, "I got 19 endings," and like, there's a lot of endings.
Just when I hear that, it just seems I don't want to say unrealistic, but like, how much variance can you really have with that?
That's what I'm wondering.
I'm a little concerned about that.
I'm that's where I'm at. The concern is the perfect word. It's a little bit of like, I don't even like with let's use Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. When you start the game and you start hopping, they pull it out and you see a flow chart and you see the breath.
As death falls then.
Yes.
Okay.
See in those visual novels that do it well, I think like,
got it.
Okay. This is the range. Like I know my limits and this isn't overwhelming. When I saw the number and then I opened a flow chart and I saw, I was like, dude, I don't know where this ends. And I'm in deep, so I'm going all the way, but I'm like, what is all the way now? If you have this many endings, is all the way every ending? Because it's not like I'm going through, like there are parts where it's a little abbreviated and they're like, yeah, we're going to jump like 10 days. Yeah. But for the most part, yeah, it's like seeming like you're in for the long haul. Like I've heard people say like 80-hour game, 90-hour game, which I was ready for, by the way. I bought it knowing that. But I'm like, is it like 150 if I want to do everything? Yeah. Like where does it end? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So it might pull me all the way in. Like there is a level of my brain is kind of there for. Like I'm kind of there for just like, yo, like, all right, I'm going to be playing this for months then. And I'm just going to have it be like my A game and my B game during certain cycles. Like right now it's my A game and I put a ton of hours into it. Where I'm reviewing something now, so it's kind of like the B game. And I imagine I'll still be playing this when the Switch 2 comes out, and like it'll be my A game on my Switch 2. I'll be really pushing the power of the Switch 2 with my visual novel game. But nonetheless, man, yeah, it's still been a really good time. The gameplay loop is really there and strong, and the story is still interesting. And there's still so many questions I have. So I think what will determine when I'm done with it is this. I need to answer a lot of questions. Once those are all fully answered, and I feel, and based on how some of these endings go, I imagine there are more definitive endings than other. Then I will open up my research booklet and I will start to look up online how, like, for the people who did go all the way, like, how many endings are there? It's necessary. Is there like a secret ending when they're all done? How worth it is? Like, I'm going to go a little more community driven. I'm going to go to my people. I'm going to see what the Danganronpa community is saying and kind of vibe with them. It also is possible the game just pulls me in on its own. Like, I'm kind of just letting it have its way, whichever way it wants to go. So that's an update on Last Defense Academy. I'm in. I'm still having fun. A little bit scared for the future, though. So we'll see what happens.
Fair enough.
All right. Cog, here we go. News time. Bungie is caught stealing art again. This is the 4th time they have been caught. Multiple of those times were with Destiny. This is happening before Marathon has even come out. So first, the accusations, then I'll read Paul Tassie's report. We'll read a write-in, and then it is all you, my friend. Okay. Fern Hook, aka Auntie Ro. By the way, shout out to our man Gene Park. Interviewed Fern.
Yes. Good interview.
Good interview. Mm-hmm. She wrote on Twitter, the Marathon Alpha released recently, and its environments are covered with assets lifted from poster designs I made in 2014. And to be clear, for those who have somehow missed all of this, I encourage you to look this up and see for yourself, because this is not a slight, like, oh, they were inspired by, or, oh, it's a style. It is lifted with a capital L. She writes, Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade. But clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without pay or attribution. I don't have the resources nor the energy to spare to pursue this legally, but I have lost count of the number of times a major company has deemed it easier to pay a designer to imitate or steal my work than to write me an email. In 10 years, I have never made a consistent income from this work, and I'm tired of designers from huge companies mood boarding and parasiting my designs while I struggle to make a living. So standing up for herself here, respect that. Bungie confesses to it. They say that this is true. They blame a rogue artist, singular. Still no confirmation if there are multiple involved. Keep in mind that this is speculative in the terms of if multiple are involved, because many of the Bungie staff followed her, including the game's art director. And you think they would see some sort of familiarity with that if you already follow them. So pretty fucking damning. Then Paul Tassi comes in. He has the report here on Forbes. He writes, I've spoken to some current and former employees about Bungie's excuse for the art theft, studio morale, the possibility of a delay, and some very real changes when it comes to the upcoming presentation and playtesting of the game. Here's what I've learned. By the way, also other thing I forgot to mention, Bungie did a live stream, and that's where they could not show the game. It is getting audited that heavily that they could not show the game anymore. So it was a planned stream that, by the way, should have been canceled. Yeah, should have been canceled, but they went through with it for whatever reason and just really made a terrible situation even worse for themselves, because all the chats were like, plagiarism will make me God, and art raiders, and
it was wild.
Yeah, I mean, everyone got really creative with it quickly.
Yes.
People were saying it's not a sprint game development, it's a marathon.
Hey, yo.
So yeah, bro, I can read you my comment section. It's bad.
They go in.
Continuing though, Paul Tassi writes, the public explanation for the art theft, one ex-employee taking things in 2020, is the same one being given internally at Bungie among rank and file. Sony and Bungie Legal are now sorting through this, and there is unlikely to be any new information as all of this continues to unfold. It is not clear how long an audit will take of the assets to remove or find any more plagiarism, as it's an expansive enough process to have Bungie not even show footage at all in its recent live stream. Morale is in a free fall across all departments, and the vibes have never been worse. Everyone has, the same concerns about what happens to Bungie as a studio if Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford. And I think Paul Tassi also said that this game had to be a top 5 in MPD this year. Which is bad, dude. You have to do more, almost as much as Oblivion Remastered. Think about the positive energy, the word of mouth, the viral marketing, and how quickly that sold and shot to the top. That's what Marathon needs in this current environment. So it's very bleak. Another bullet point here. There are not even hints or jokes about a delay from the September release date internally. With that said, it's entirely possible, if not likely, those conversations are happening privately between higher up Sony and Bungie leadership. It's unclear what the plan is to launch the game in a now actively hostile environment just a few months from now, or how to turn that around. Last few bullet points here. Some changes to future plans have been made even before the plagiarism development. Emphasis on before, because it makes this very interesting to consider, mainly as a reaction to the gameplay footage of the now closed alpha. First, at the start of the month, Bungie pulled the plug on its main marathon marketing campaign, which was going to have a new trailer in June, along with the launch of pre-orders. The whole campaign needs to be reworked now. A heavily marketed public beta in August may be changed into a roadmap of public playtests, with no actual details set yet. This would align with Bungie's stated multiple opportunities to play before launch rather than the upcoming beta. And last but not least, Marathon was pitched by higher up good old boy Bungie leadership. And as far back as 5 years ago, devs were telling them what would and wouldn't work and were often ignored, a trend that we've seen, and COG, you've discussed many times with Destiny. Many have previously said that it needed to have some sort of PvE component. That's the write-up. Everyone wants to hear from you, COG. We have the write-in here. Christian, like the religion, says, Hail Dukes, with the situation at Bungie rapidly escalating or de-escalating in the terms of their morale, this seems like a canon event that'll definitely ripple everywhere in the industry. If the artist plays her cards right, she could cost Bungie and Sony millions if it moves forward in court. Any further thoughts on the matter? Take care, and thank you for your time. COG, all you.
Yeah, this is what a disgusting situation all around. It's inexcusable. It's one of those things that when we look at, as a fan of Bungie, is one of my favorite studios that make literally my favorite games of all time, including Halo and Destiny. The memories in these games, I mean, the friendships I've made, I could speak volumes. Again, Iron Lord Podcast would not exist without Destiny, right? Me being an Xbox fan and not playing Halo changes my trajectory. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally
that type of game.
Yeah, right. So the thing with this whole situation is, again, first of all, shout out to Anti-Real, because what's hurtful is that the game at best, Marathon at best, had lukewarm reception. At best. And I'm a person that, okay, I don't play extraction shooters. It's okay, but one thing they got going for them, that art style. It's that, very cyberpunk meets Mirror's Edge, minimalistic, cool, chic, vibrant. Bro, this is not just copy. This is straight rips. This is like, remember when Colin had, was it Philip Musin on?
Yeah.
Like, we straight ripping. Like, acid. Like, it's bad when you plagiarize and then you don't even cross out the name correctly or some of the. Bro,
her name was in there. Her logo was in there.
Bro.
Embarrassing, dude.
So then you get to the timeline, and I watched the stream, right? Because they were supposed to have a stream talking about all the learnings and the feedbacks and what they're going to change. It's clear as day they got blindsided. They figured internally, I guess, we can't avoid it, because if we just try to ignore it, we'll get dragged. But to your point, until I had Hulk on, it was an absolute disaster to do it. Because here's the thing, and Hulk said it best when we talk about it. If you're going to be transparent about what happened, you have to answer everything. You have to have a prepared statement ready for everything. All they did was, yes, acknowledge, yes, I was surprised. Yes, we stole. We said her name, Anti-Real, this, that, and the third. But what makes it egregious, again, what you said, the art director follows her. People in the studio follow. How are you not familiar with this? And here's the thing, this ain't your first time with the cookie jar. You've been stealing and shoplifting for a bunch of years now.
That's the thing, man. Like, you can't feign ignorance on this, but you could really easily accuse a rogue artist if this didn't happen a ton of times before. It's a systemic issue.
Exactly. So even if you say it's not us doing it and it's the third party, why is your process, this has not been resolved yet? How have you not cleaned this up systematically, organizationally? How is that still going on? So it's just like, now you can't even show the new stuff you're about to show because you got to audit and scrub everything, which is the core aspect to your game, right? The only thing let people, because some people say, bro, you're not hardcore enough for Tarkov. And then some of the casuals are like, yo, I'm not really into this extraction. So you already behind the eight ball. Then what made it worse, Matty? You had the luxury of Borderlands moving. You had the luxury of GTA 6 out of the way. You've got so much negative, hostile vitriol about you right now. You're the thief company. Plagiarism is God. Bro, it is so bad. You cannot launch in a way, but almost you got to, because who know what you told Sony on acquisition? And as good old Colin has always said, he felt like, yo, God, I felt we bought a lemon with your peoples. How can I say he's wrong? Right? It feels like it. So you may have lied about, remember the burn rate was high. That's why, thank God, in the way Phil and them didn't buy them. Right? Burn rate was high.
Phil had to know something, bro, because that was like his game too. And he was good friends with Pete. He had to have known something.
I'm on Xbox Live all the time. Phil Spencer in Destiny's Prime. This is prior to acquisition when they was flirting with them and they had Beyond Light expansion inside Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
He was on this joint. Even prior to that, every day, that was Phil's game. I would talk like, bro, you play what Destiny to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how much I know he had an effect. So for him not to sign, that's them assessing them like, overinflated value of yourself, burn rate, deliverables, how much are you really making, how expensive are you? And here's the problem. This is what you see with the Tassie report. You keep hearing good old boy Bungie.
Can you explain that to me a little bit? I saw good old boy Bungie. What is the term definition of that? Is this like the higher ups, the bros who like, you call the shots? Like, what is that?
Here's the problem. And I've heard this. I got a lot of friends in that building. Mm-hmm. The thing is this. The reason why Destiny is the constant free fall redemption cycle is because you got talented people in here who love the game, who listen to the community. Mm-hmm. We got you. Then they take it up top, and not only are they shut down, they're disrespected. They're like, you don't know. We know what's best for the game. We've always had this internal fight. Like, how come everything in the Eververse store looks so amazing, but the stuff that you reward players looks like garbage? You purposely doing this for greed and corporate things. And then I'm going to read you some quotes from two people.
Let's go.
Check this out. My man Mercules, who I've had on the last word when he bought this, he's now a senior weapons designer for Bungie. We were so proud of him when he got hired by Bungie. He said a key thing, because a lot of people, I know the vitriol right now, they all got to go get rid of everybody. I get that. But here's the thing he said is key. People seem to have some real weird ideas for what happens when a studio fails and who ends up getting hurt the most by it. You aren't punishing who you think you are when you're rooting for this stuff to happen. Meaning, and if I have to get, I'm not going to put you on blast, Merc, and I have to interpret this, that these stakeholders, these toxic stakeholders, the good old boy Bungie, they are not being held accountable for their decisions. You know, I am not the person that's be like, yo, dude's got to get fired, this, that, and third. Mm-hmm. We have enough evidence.
Yeah,
we have tons of evidence of these guys literally sabotaging the game after, the real people there in the development community who saves the game from the utter brink every time, even with Final Shape, and all those people got laid off and stuff like that. But you're not seeing certain people get laid off, or certain C-suite people get removed. Mm-hmm. That's the problem with Bungie. So here's then Liana Rupert, who I love her, dirty effing hippie on Twitter. She's the former community manager and accessibility. Check this statement she put out. Step down. It's the first words. Mm-hmm. Leadership still has Bungie at people that actively hurt the devs in the community. They let the positive and genuinely good members of leadership stand their ground and allow for the rot to finally disappear. The devs deserve better. The community deserves better. So many good people at Bungie, and they constantly have to take punches for the people that actually deserve them, while cowards cash their checks, get their fifth new penthouses, and profit off pain. They deserve better. No amount of Bungie bounce backs take away from the fact, because leadership always ensures those bounce backs are temporary. They get comfy again and the cycle repeats. Poor leadership does not deserve a golden crown. Then the article that came out today from Destiny Legary.
She's great. Bro, it's well written.
everything happened to Bungie is because of greed. They are saying they want Sony to absolve them. And you know what's crazy? Finally at that point. I'm finally at that point. Because remember, my theory was like, damn, they get absolved by Sony. Are they even Bungie anymore? But see, the thing is this is the only way Bungie leadership can be held accountable, because they now have to report to Sony. And Sony is not playing. We already talked about Hiroki, what's going on right now. We talked about with the Jade Raymond situation. We talked about all these different, the Concords getting shut down, all these different situations, Herman Hulse getting moved around. Sony's not, in a way, this is the perfect thing that can happen as far as any hope of change, because the cycle keeps repeating itself. That's the problem right there. And it's frustrating, brother. It really is. And again, as a Bungie fan, the sad reality is that this may be the only way they learn. But the problem is they may not even exist. If what we know to be true is that everything relies on Bungie Marathon being a top 5 NPD game, oh, bro, I hate to say it. If that's the case, you're out of here. And who knows what happened? They will literally just be Bungie in name. Who knows what happens to the future of Destiny? Who knows what happened to any of their products? And it's unfortunate. It really is. It saddens me that there are so many talented people at this studio who actually have the gamers' interest at mind and consistently blocked and shut down by incompetent leadership. And I am sorry. You know, I am the last person to say people have to go. I'm sorry. We have enough evidence. You know who you are. They know who you are. Sony knows who you are. You've literally lied all your way here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got on it. It's pretty. I'll let you see. I sent you some stuff. I thought Bite from the community said some really great things. Yeah. You know, I see that the community for the most part has completely turned on them, and I don't think there's enough goodwill anymore left. We've been exhausted, you know, and I think unfortunately that's where it is. And who knows what's going to happen to Marathon now if they even delay it. I have no idea, but it does not. This is the worst I've ever seen. I don't know if they come back from this.
Yeah, like you think about where you were with Final Shape, and now did you ever expect it to be like this? Like
not like this, because the thing was with Final Shape, we know it didn't hit the sales metrics, but it was like the perfect end to a saga. It reviewed well, and then people got laid off. Right? So you're like, oh no, right? And then again, the good old Bungie talk was, you don't need the support. This is when you're feeling yourself. You don't need to support Destiny. Yo, extraction shooters, bro. I've been playing Tarkov. This is the wave. I'm telling you. People are like, hey, bro, your community likes story-driven games, PvE component. Nah, we know what we do. And it's get back out there and do what the hell we tell you to do, energy. And look what it's got them now. And this is, to me, a direct result of leadership. There's no excusing it.
Bad. Let me dig into your thoughts some more. Delay, cancellation. I want to pick your thoughts on this a little bit, because I obviously have my own thoughts, but this is really about you. I want to know, for you, you know, right now we're looking at two scenarios, right? They have to audit their entire asset library. It's that the plagiarism runs so deep they couldn't show the game. So clearly there's more than what was already shown from the alpha that they need to check and make sure is their own. That's a bad sign, because then you have to redo texture sheets, assets for the game. That's time. The game already feels like it's screeching into its release date, barely. And clearly with missing features like proximity chat, it's not ready. So it's in a spot where a lot of people are like, well, obviously you delay it. You get away from a little bit of the controversy. You fix what people are pissed about. But this is like an art style and direct assets that need to be completely reworked. If the library runs that deep, if the plague of the library runs that deep, where they have to overhaul like the entire thing, it might not be worth with after Concord and what's happened with Fair Games, like Sony being involved in this is a dynamic that dramatically shapes this situation. So I want to know from your angle, it's anybody's guess. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but like,
right.
Do you think this gets delayed, or do you think they shut it down and just run into Destiny again?
That's the question, because at first, my thought process was like, Sony's upset. They got to get some return on investment. Launch at they wasn't doing free to play. It's clear as day. They try to get money from this, right? They're going to just launch it and put it out there. But the climate is so hostile. And to your point, you said the real thing. The real thing is besides the climate, because companies of PRs, they'll survive a storm.
Yeah, they'll put
they'll go dark, heads down. We know we're messed up, and we'll try to improve. The problem is you have such a short window before the scandal. You had such a short window with things that weren't even ready. Proximity chat, features, maps, things people like, hey, you're coming in kind of hot, right? But now you've got to do this audit. You've got to scrub. Who knows how long that takes? And then to your point again, Sony may say, bro, this is going to cost how much to do all of this? And let's just say there is more integrity of the game that has been plagiarized. I'm just assuming the worst. Let's just say it's not just a few. I mean, it may be just a few things. And maybe let's say it takes a month as opposed to 2 to 3 or whatever it is, right? There's a chance at that, but that's still time, resource, money. Sony's looking at like, bro, you're already on the clock and you've already missed all your sales figures from Lightfall and Final Shape. Yeah. Why are we going to put this out? Sony quick to be like, this is going to be a stain on our great PlayStation Studios reputation. Yeah. You put out this dud. No, they may step in. So it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of weeks from now, we see that timeline and we see a Schreier article or you know what I mean, Inside Gaming.
Something's coming.
And something's coming because right now internally this is being discussed. Is it worth the investment to even put this out? And it sucks because I know great people on this game. I know Andrew Witz. I know Lars Bar. These guys are phenomenal. That's why I just want to be clear with the people who are going in on Bungie. Make sure you're going in on the correct people when you wish for a studio to fail. I know it's fun and people don't like Destiny. I get it, but be clear. These are some of the best in the business, even the people that had the community's back for the longest, and they're going to suffer. They're going to ones that be out of work. And the people that most likely, unless Sony really does what we expect them to do, right, are still going to be around to make more bad decisions. That's the problem. Until that, you got to clear the rot. The rot is up top. It's clear as day. So to your point, if I had to put a percentage, I'm probably leaning, I can't see a scenario where this launches in a very good state or makes sense to launch. So your best case is if they delay. That's the best case. Yeah. Then you're running into GTA next year. And we didn't even talk about Arc Raiders, who's in the space.
Completely stole their thunder, dude.
Outlapping them. So it's just like this. I don't know, bro. It doesn't look like a good scenario. And I could totally see a scenario where we wake up and we do a Duke and you talk offline and we like, yo, the headline, did you see it? It's done. And then if that's done, here's the real thing now. They may be done.
Yeah, that's the other question I had for you. We already know PlayStation's absorbed a lot of that Bungie talent for their own shit. Yep. They've already done that. So do they just, at this point, you're like, okay, I didn't even think about the sales figures of like Lightfall, Final Shape. It's like, you guys have missed. It doesn't matter that, I say this with all due respect to the talented teams that worked on it. Like, it doesn't matter that Final Shape reviewed well. Now we have these plagiarism accusations. We're just going to take those of you we think are worth having in our stuff that we're managing and are doing fine, and we're dissolving the rest of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I feel like that's a strong possibility.
Yeah, and shout out to my Last Word co-host, who I have to give him the utmost flowers. One of the persons that was one of the most against the acquisition of Bungie was Ty Guy Travis. And he said, my concern, Cog, is, and I didn't see it because my thing was at the time, I'll take my L fully. My thing was Bungie's survival at the time. And I was like, well, Sony gives them a place to exist. I'm going to root it on. He's like, but Cog, he's like, I don't like it. He said, because I'm worried about, he calls it brain drain, where they take the top talent, extract it, and then use it for their own services as far as Sony proper. And then Bungie, as we know it, you're just a shell. You're just in name, almost like a BioWare. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just in name. So that's what's already happening. We've already seen examples of them. And I guess the only thing that Sony did really like from them apparently is quote unquote Project Gummy Bears, that other separate project. And they've already made those guys, they converted them from Bungie employees to Sony employees. Yep. And they're in a different subcategory now. So who's left at Bungie is said leadership. And then again, we got to also talk about the fact that they cannot, I think it's safe to assume that they cannot be happy with Bungie's involvement in the live service initiative, which is another, remember Jim Ryan said that the Bungie acquisition will be more fruitful than the ABK acquisition when it's all said and done. Remember that quote?
I forgot until now.
Remember that? Yeah. So again, that's why I always find it interesting with Sony when people get removed, like, because you remember these things, how when you don't hear no comment from that person anymore, and they just say, we thank you for your service. These are the things that lead to these kind of situations. But so basically it's a culture thing. And I just think that I don't think they survive it. I'm trying to, I'm the positive guy. I'm the guy that like, yo, there's still a chance. Maybe the only hope they have now is if they cancel it or they delay it and they just say, hey, this is not going to work. Your moneymaker is Destiny. Resources that obviously we've seen the Renegade project. So I saw some investment. I'm like, okay, they're not, I was ready to completely give it up. But if Marathon was tied to this, maybe that plan does change. So it's still up in the air. We are not out of this. Yeah. They could legit be Bungie in name only and completely absorbed and absolved into Sony proper, and projects canceled and we don't hear from them for a while kind of energy. So
yeah, beautifully said. I think the only thing I have to add on really in my own personal thoughts is I really think this game has a stronger possibility of being canceled than people realize, because it's not just the development fees that Sony would have to incur to have them fix a thing that they already counted on as finished. Like, oh, this is the art style. Like, oh, the assets to make it pop are done. It's like, oh, you have to rework all these textures completely. It's like that. It's not even just that. Some of the music people were talking about was very close to Anti-Real's SoundCloud. So her whole vibe was taken for this. That is brought up because, well, Anti-Real has said, I don't have the time or the money to do a legal battle. And it's not on me to tell her, go do that, right? Like, I get it. Like, she's just a great artist who is a victim completely in this case. Like, she didn't ask for any of this. So whether she fights it or not is going to be a huge part of this, because then Sony has to account for legal fees, which I know is like a separate budget, but marketing campaign had a budget. Development is now going to need extended budget, and you might need a legal budget for the fucking game at this point.
Sony's legal budget has to be involved now too.
Yeah.
You can't be happy about that.
So it may cost them less to shut it down, trim the numbers, pay Anti-Real whatever she's asking, and move on to whatever's next. If they can even survive that. I think that brain drain is a great term. I think you absorb what you can out of them. But yeah, I hate to say it because it is a very bleak outlook, and it is not clearly the fault of some of the workers on that staff. That is just like, it's something I talked about in my videos on it. I was like, it's becoming, because games are going beyond just you release a thing and it's this little, like, remember when we were younger, right? Like, you buy this game for like Circuit City and you know nothing about any of the people in the credits. They're just names on a paper. No offense to them, but like, that's just all they came across as, because gaming has become so next level. Interviews, articles, quotes, this sort of stuff, the reach that these games have, that just like, sometimes I don't know how to say, like, the juice isn't worth the squeeze in cases like this. So, I get that it's not everyone, but as you mentioned earlier, the people who weren't responsible for this are going to be the most affected by it. Yeah. And it's frustrating because it is, back to what I was saying, that selfishness. That selfishness has shown its head. I won't name names, but we talked about it with Obsidian at one point. My game. My game. It's like, what are you doing, bro? Mm-hmm. And what a lot of these devs cannot seem to understand, whether it's someone from the shadows who apparently doesn't work there anymore since 2020, or someone who's public about it. It takes one of you.
Yes.
That's all it takes. It's a little bit different with like, I'd say this, me and Colin as developers are uniquely positioned that our opinions are so out there and so rooted into our presence that we get a little bit of the grace, I think, as creators, but because like commentating is just so part of our online DNA. But for the people who aren't, whether it's plagiarism or just saying something, all it takes, that is your whole identity. And it's so selfish. It takes one rogue employee nowadays because all you need is one statement, then it's one tweet, then it's one video, one article, and you are so unbelievably fucked. Now, games like Avowed seem to have come out as unscathed as they could have. You could argue, like, what would the damage have? How well would it have done without all of that?
Right.
But something like this, it is so damning, so viral, so impossible to support, and so unmistakably illegal that it's like people who even are like you, Bungie diehards are like, no way. People like me who are like, I was on the outs trying to look to get in. No way. People who are just fans of the medium are going to look at that and be like, you're that unoriginal. You guys got money. You got Sony money. You got Bungie money. You got Destiny money. And these are the people you hire who are this creatively bankrupt and this selfish. That's the human element of it all. That was the element of it all that really sat with me when reading the news over the couple of days that it broke. I was like, there's a human element to this that is just not discussing. It's just that skill only goes so far. You got to remember these are people. And not only just there are people who are going to be affected by layoffs inevitably, but people in the terms of just like the selfish, thoughtless moves they'll make that, it's going to affect hundreds, thousands, millions if you account for the fans.
Right.
Down to one person.
Yeah, no, well said.
Even if it's a little squad. It's like, that's the part that sits with me and makes me feel sick. I'm just like, that's so inconceivably fucked.
Absolutely. It's selfish. It's corporate greed, it's selfishness, and then it's also in a company who's now had their wrist slapped 3 to 4 times. One, stealing assets from a cinema that was in Witch Queen. They got hand slapped for that. There was an artist that got their design stolen and then monetized for a Destiny Ace of Spades head-cannon Nerf gun. And, and then they go on Twitter like, hey, I still haven't been compensated. You guys said you were going to reach out after you put in the tweet. He literally quote tweeted and said they have still, because they were, thanks for letting us know. We will reach out. Then like a year later, no, you have not reached out. Yeah. Wow. Bro, I'll send you stuff. It's again, it comes down to the big guy versus the little guy. Because like the thing why this one hits so hard with Anti-Real, I love she said, it was honest, I don't have the energy and the resources to fight this.
Understandable.
So, you know what I'm saying? It lets you know their lawyer game is crazy. They have things in place to protect themselves from
more.
That we will stall you out. But the problem now is they're finally in a vulnerable position where it's not going to work. And all people know about you is your reputation of stealing and doing these kind of things, right? And now that is taking precedence, and you're in a desperate position. You haven't made a hit in a while. You're bleeding money, and that's what's going on right now. So yeah, it's completely unfortunate, and to me, it's just heartbreaking for the people who have nothing to do with that, and who literally. Last what I'll say is this: you can't tell me that during the layoffs and the cost cutting and everything that was going on because of bad decisions, someone did not approach and say, hey, whatever that process that we are doing, where we're using contractors and we're getting art, whatever, we got to tighten this up. We got to put better measures in, better levers so that this doesn't happen. You can't tell me that someone just said, we'll do it when we do it. If you did it 4 times, you're not monitoring the process.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that just by the nature of repeat behavior, it's just, we're fair to say there's no way one of you didn't know, I got to know who had the wool pulled over their eyes and who didn't.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine if you were like the art director and you were not involved in that at all, that this just got pulled under your nose and you're being held accountable for it. If he had no involvement, that's got to be tough, because it's his name that's going to get dragged because he directed the art. Like, it's just the title. Like the title.
It's just the title. You know how that goes.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. Mm-hmm. But if it's just the thing I struggle with is, it's one rogue employee. I'm like, the amount of assets Yeah, former.
It's always former. It's always one rogue.
Yeah, like, dude, it's just the amount of assets that are dedicated to it. That if there's one piece that needs to be done from Schreier, probably his most important piece is this: to get in there, because he's the only one who is capable of it, unfortunately. But to get in there and literally find out how, it doesn't have to name names even, how many people are attached to this, because this is like this is gaming history, dude. Like, this is literally like a crisis level. Like, we got this close to the launch of a game that stole someone's whole artistic identity. Last thing I want to say is on that. Can you imagine being Inti-Rail in this situation? Like, seriously. Yeah. Put yourself in her shoes, not just in the level of like, damn, my art got stolen. That's awful. But one thing she said that was very transparent in the statement I read was about, I've had this happen before. I'm tired of it. Can you imagine if, by the way, style is fucking awesome. Not even just saying that because of the accusations, everything, and we want to take her side. Like, her art style is awesome. Can you imagine having that level of skill and your value is only to be stolen from? You are talented enough and skilled enough to be hired, but these companies walk a legal gray line and try to take from you in slight ways, and then someone goes a step too far and does it and is so bold that they do it so confidently. I always wonder if there's I wonder if there was a word where she thought about, I'm going to wait till this thing's fucking out.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah.
You know? So there's a lot of ways she could have gone about this. Yeah. But I think that is the human element to me is like, dude, her whole, does she want to make art anymore? No, this is how you treat as an artist? Like, yeah, bro. Like, this is like a crisis level situation where this affects other artists too. Like, again, who wants to get into game development, seeing this shit, who wants to get into art, seeing this shit. I mean, I'm not acting like it's an exponential number, but it still is something. Yeah. And Bungie being at the heart of it multiple times, bro. Shameless,
unacceptable, disgusting. And it's just sad because these people can't get jobs. That's the crazy thing. They can't get hired, but their ideas and their identity are stolen. And yeah, it's awful. Awful situation all around.
Yeah. So you got to wonder if it comes down to ego or what. Like, they see it and they're like, damn, I can't do that. That's a cool idea. Like, what does reaching out hurt?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. No. Very, very disappointing news. And we eagerly await whatever comes next. Cancellation, delay, studio shutdown.
All those are on the table. All three could be on the table.
Absolutely. So we'll see. But until then, let's look at another thing on PlayStation. Hellblade 2. It's coming this summer to PS5. No exact release date. Extra features will be added. It will be served out as a free update on other platforms. So if you already bought this game on Xbox or you have it on Xbox via Game Pass, you will get these new features, whatever they may be, currently not detailed, for free. So very similar to the Gears of War Reloaded approach. Tom Warren had a little bit of a follow-up statement to the news at the end of his article. He wrote, quote, I revealed last year that Hellblade 2 was under consideration for a PS5 release alongside other titles like Halo or Gears of War, Halo Combat Evolved, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Microsoft is also working on some Xbox ports for Switch 2, which I expect we'll hear about soon, end quote. Astro Parrot King writes in, Astro Parrot King, I feel like I'm going to be hearing from you soon, man. As we're looking like a cup rematch is happening, baby. If the Oilers get by and if the Panthers keep doing their thing, bro, I'm hoping we come out on top this time. But nonetheless, Astro Parrot King, he writes, hello, brothers. It seems that Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 Enhanced Edition is coming to PlayStation and as a free update to Xbox. While it coming to PlayStation is no surprise, what do you think the reception of it will be when it launches? Will it be better or worse than on Xbox? Have a nobody chokes. There we go. Nobody chokes more than Toronto type of day. Yeah, Toronto fans, man, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It is tough to be. It's tough. As a Mets fan, I know.
Yes.
As a Mets fan, I know what it's like to just have everyone against you, everyone rooting against you. It's tough out there. So Toronto fans, I'm hoping that there's some real systemic changes. They go full Bungie on you. There's some systemic changes to the Maple Leaf organization. Dog, Hellblade 2. It's recoup time, as you said. How are we feeling? PS5 this summer, another port.
This is big. Mm-hmm. This is big. I'm gonna take it a different angle. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I'm gonna tell you why. Because we all know, from a financial standpoint, even though Cog loves the game, I know Matt's not a favorite of Maddie's and Jean's, and Cog likes it, but we all have to admit, right? I have to admit, from a sales standpoint, we didn't hear a peep. We didn't hear anything about active anything players. We didn't hear about. I think when the Cicada came out, I don't even remember a placement. I just don't remember any type of positive news outside of the reviews and outside of an awards for performances and stuff like that, and BAFTAs and stuff like that. Outside of that, we didn't hear anything commercially. So to me, the thought problem at the time, it was like, yo, are they gonna get shut down? Let's be real. Is Ninja Theory going to and not going to be able to survive this quote unquote perceived commercial flop? Mm-hmm. So what this tells me is that kind of gives me hope for a compulsion now, because what this tells me is, boys, we gonna recoup. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Y'all gonna get it. And it makes sense. The game initially was a PlayStation exclusive, right? Yes, after you get Xbox fans, you get over the emotionality of this game launching with the Series X as a Series X exclusive. I get it.
Was there any emotionality to this? I didn't see online. Was there?
People, don't let them fool you. See, I'm real about it. Like, I'll tell people, like, yo, you gonna feel it. It's gonna feel the way. You know how you was outside, these people outside championing, just like I was at the time. I'm guilty. Like, yo, this is gonna be a new day. Remember, this game was shown with the Series X at a thing, the Power at the Game Awards thing. I get it. It was symbolic for the start of this generation. But we have to be real where we are. And where we are is we got to get this money. This is the new direction. Mm-hmm. That base is most likely going to support this as they've supported other things. Now, the key is, though, will it be a hi-fi rush situation? I think it does better. I think it does, but only for the simple fact that the PlayStation audience loves these styles of games. And they had the first one. So there's a part of me that says, now, is it going to be like, yo, they buy it like Indiana Jones? I don't think like that.
Yeah.
I don't think like that. I think it's just going to be, but I will say, I don't think it's going to be a Pentiment situation, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm curious, they get a little Millie. That'd be nice. Yeah. We'll see. I'm curious on that, but I think it will do better. It'll be better than the worst ones, but not as big as, that's my little prediction right now. But yeah, where you at with all this?
I looked up the stats real quick from Circana about Hellblade 2.
Yeah, wait.
Matt Piscatello wrote, getting a lot of questions on this one. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 ranked 37th overall for May 2024 in U.S. full dollar sales, physical and digital, while ranking 21st on Xbox Series. Notably, Hellblade 2 released on Game Pass at launch, and that put its engagement data out, where it ranked 12th on Xbox in the terms of monthly active users, behind Fallout 76, but ahead of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Apex Legends, and Forza Horizon 5. So probably in the couple 100,000s.
Yeah, probably 100,000. And then we have to admit, it was one of the shortest games in the histories of games. What is it, 5 hours, 6 hours?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, maybe
5 in my experience.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't get a vibe that this game's going to do super well on PlayStation. I'd like to be wrong, but it just does not have the zip, the buzz that the first one had. I know the first one was a bit of a phenomenon. Like, it was like, oh my God, this like AAA indie game. I mean, that's what they called it. It was definitely like groundbreaking stuff. It had like a really good message in it. It was priced well. Keep in mind, this is like a $20 game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's not what this game is. So
they was 40, 50, I believe. They wasn't.
Yeah, no, they were cheaper, but I mean, even when you're looking at $50 games now, like, there are some really strong competitors out there. Oblivion Remastered, Expedition 33, Mafia is going to be one. So I'm not as bullish on Hellblade 2. I am biased. I don't like the game nearly as much as the first one.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, but I'm just throwing it out there that I just think there's a lot of reasons to doubt.
No, that's fair. I can't knock you for that.
Number one being their initial sales data, but number two being, I saw no buzz on social media about this. Like, okay, cool. There's no emotions. I was like, yeah,
1.3 billion on the PlayStation account. 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
Viewership.
We'll see what happens.
I'm reaching. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. But I think the real one is going to be Halo. We already talked about Gears. Gears will do well. But sandwiching this between Gears and Halo, I think this one might, if Halo is announced soon, which I imagine it will, because what Tom Warren did note here is like he's kind of like checking off a list at this point.
Yeah.
But sandwiching this between Gears and Halo, I could see people just marking Gears and Halo on their calendar, and Hellblade's like the nice to have. Like, cool. Like if I can get to it, I'll get to it. But given its price tag, I don't know, man. I think it's too much money for how little it gives you, unless the extra features add meaningful story content. But he said features, not story.
Feature, yeah. No, it's a good point. We'll see. I'm very curious about it. I will give you that. But only thing I will say, last point I'll say, is just that I am happy though that the studios that, like I said, I look at them and Compulsion in the same pocket with South of Midnight in a way, even though South of Midnight seems to be trending better than how Hellblade trended initially. I feel with the metrics. Yeah, I like the fact that they're like, we're gonna push this anyway, give you more chances for success. I do like that idea, and I've always said, like, South of Midnight I feel could be on a Nintendo Switch. I don't know if Hellblade can handle Switch, but I'm just curious about them extending lives, like, because let's be honest. Case in point, Redfall ain't getting this treatment. No. You know what I'm saying? No. That's what I'm saying. There's certain things where you like, okay, we know, no way. Yeah. So that's what just gives me hope that no, we're going to keep this studio around. You're going to recoup, get this bread back as much as you can before you do whatever we got you doing. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, that there is a sustained future for them, at least for another port. So we'll see what happens. But Hellblade 2, PS5, PS5 Pro this summer. Look forward to it. Avowed. One of our last little items here on the news write-up. Got a couple of things to talk about. First, they dropped a 2025 update roadmap. Note, this is an update roadmap. This is not DLC in the terms of like expansion content, new areas to explore, et cetera, et cetera. Spring 2025, now live. They added an arachnophobia safe mode. So taking a little bit, I thought this was a fucking misprint. I thought this was from Grounded. Yeah. Mouse and keyboard support for Xbox. Fog of War improvements, so for the map. More gold and crafting materials. Soul pods now dispel illusions, and unique gear improvements. In the summer, cooking and crafting improvements are coming. NPC abilities and behaviors are being added. I have thoughts on that. Active and passive abilities. Unique weapons and armor, custom map markers. That's a good one. In the fall, you get a new game plus, get photo mode, a new weapon type, changing appearance in the world, new character presets, and more godlike feature presets. So, you're scratching your head. Wait, what's going on? How are we feeling about these updates? Can I go?
Go ahead. Yeah,
I've been holding this in. I'm Team Avowed, right?
Okay.
I'm not feeling this. I'm like, what? Like, bro, this literally just feel like a patch. Yeah. Like 3 patches. And no, not to be disrespectful. It's just like, I want content, man. Like, I want to go back in this world. I like this world. I'm like, it just seems so minimalist. And again, the NPC abilities and behavior just seems, again, we got to wait till summer for that. None of this feels like substantial content. Yeah. It just feels like, hey, we're finished. Like, we're done. And now I'm wondering.
Final touches for the PS5 fan base. Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Why aren't you giving us new content? You know why you're not giving us new content? Because you got a port coming. And you want to improve the base game first. And then now that holds it up, for the new content to eventually come after. So that's what this tells me. Because, bro, I gotta wait. This is what is Avowed launch? February?
Yes. Yeah.
Fall 2025. We ain't getting no new content. All you giving me is
New Game Plus.
New Game Plus. Like, I'm not going back in there for this. No.
That's what the Arrowhead 2 launches too. Yeah, what are you guys doing?
What are we doing? So it's like, to me, all you just told me is you're not coming out. You're coming to PlayStation. See you in 2026, potentially, when there's new content. That's what and it's disappointing because I love this game. This is a selfish thing. Yes, I admit Shout out to the team. You know I love y'all. A Black Rock. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just selfish that I want content. None of this excites me, especially that 3 whole roadmap periods with not one new bit of content. Like, no, I'm not.
Like the new weapon type is the only thing I went, oh, interesting. You know,
like, I'm good.
Yeah, I like the energy. NPC behaviors I'm curious about because I wonder if they're actually going to make the towns not stiff, not static. And because there are a lot of people who are like, that's not true, Maddie. Or a lot of, who cares? This reminds me a lot of Deathloop. Like everyone's like, no, the AI is supposed to be this way. And then patch 1, fix broken AI. I'm like, it's almost like, there's salesmen and women in there that are trying to curve your perception of the product. And like, they know this should be better. So update in the summer. You can go ahead and watch the towns, maybe be a little more active. This is no doubt, I think, shaping up for some sort of re-release. But you're like, well, where's the new content? Maybe because the game's lacking a director now. That could be part of it. Like, oh, our time here is done. I am done too. So let's talk about it. Carrie Patel had the honor of interviewing her here in the realm of the Dukes. She is, for those who don't remember, the director of Avowed. She has left Obsidian after 12 years as narrative co-lead, senior narrative designer, and game director to join Night School at Netflix Games as a game director over there. Night School, for those who don't remember, are the creators of Oxenfree 1 and 2. Tyler Stafford has the write-in. Hey, Dukes, I hopped on Twitter a moment ago and just read that Carrie Patel is leaving Obsidian to go work at Netflix Games. Not saying I'm shocked given the lukewarm reception for Avowed, but it seemed like she was quite happy at Obsidian. Is this a case of cashing in on a major bag, or are there issues at the Black Rock? Have a Mets regretting signing Juan Soto kind of day?
Kill us right now.
It's so funny because whenever I read everyone's write-ins, I don't read the have a whatever day because it's like I see have and I'm like, okay, they're done. So I just throw it in the script or not. So some of them sneak up on me a little bit. I'm like, oh, you put that one in there, Tyler. Okay. Cog, Carrie is gone. I'm a little sad about this. I thought she was great, but what do you make of her exit and seeing the post-launch content support? And what do you speculate this could mean?
I'm sad. We like Carrie.
Yeah,
she was great. And my concern is that, like, definitely this roadmap this seems to be an influence on some level because she was responsible for literally, I don't want to say she was given a pile of crap, but we know the development story.
Yeah. You said as much. She adopted it.
She literally adopted it. This was a co-op game. It was an open world game. It had all this ambition. Nope. Let's slice this down. Let's refine this. Let's get to what we are. Let's hub world this thing out. Let's get this Pillars universe in there and let's get what we can. And what saddens me, because I'm like, man, I want to know now that they've finally got the core aspect of what Avowed is. Now let's add on it and give the rest of that Obsidian touch that we know you guys are good for. That is what I was hopeful. That's why I'm really looking to dive in with new substantial content. So, what that tells me is that, one, obviously she's gone. Two, I have to look at this as a Staten-like move. And what I mean by that is she got the bag.
Yeah.
Netflix, respectfully, we don't know you for that. Right? So to me, that number that they pulled up on her with was crazy. It was nice, life-changing nice. And she made a decision. So I'm not mad at that. All I care about is, one, longevity for her. Is State still over there? Because I remember a lot of Netflix people got let go. That's what I'm worried.
It's interesting. I was reading up a little bit. There was an article from February of this year when Avowed was coming out.
Really?
Netflix has laid off staff at Oxenfree developer Night School Studio. So they cleared space and then she joined.
Right. So my concern is her long term, because it's like Netflix seem to be, wave chasing it feel. You know what I mean? We haven't seen that. I get Stadia energy from them. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, until I see something consistent, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the people who play Netflix games at COG, no, they're doing well. I don't know. I get the energy from them that there's turnover, that they're flirting with the idea of gaming. I don't see a consistency in my opinion. I hope I'm proven wrong with data. Realm of the Dukes, you guys tell me if I'm wrong if you've been following Netflix gaming, because I honestly haven't.
I'd be so surprised if anyone in our realm is following Netflix gaming.
I like to be accurate.
Yeah,
so
no, of course. Yeah, you guys correct us if you are, but I will definitely make fun of you on the way in. So just be warned.
Fair enough. But yeah, to me, look, she got a bag, respectfully. I am curious though, who now succeeds, who's the new, role taker of it. They got great people there. That's all I guess I care about. Like, who's now in charge, and then how long does that transition happen for us to get us back to Avowed? So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was shocking though. I will say, I was like, okay, surprised by this a little bit. Didn't think, that she would, leave, but hey, maybe they give you an offer you can't refuse. But what do you think? Obviously we interviewed her in the Realm of the Dukes. Obviously you feel strongly about Avowed and the things that it didn't capture for you. You didn't say it was a terrible game, but you definitely felt there was things that you needed from Class Obsidian that was a step down for you. And I think that was fair. I always felt you were fair on that one.
Yeah.
100%. So where you at, man, with this?
This is an interesting one because I want to say it's a bag, but this is like a smaller team. And there's a couple of ways I could look at this. And there's not like one good definitive answer to me. Like, one is like she got a taste of AAA director experience, and like that scares people away, understandably so. Like, it's just, she also inherited a project, and she's been there 12 years. So there's also that level of like, I want to go do something else. At the same time, she climbed the ladder.
Yes.
Like, to go from narrative code, like she was always in leadership positions. She was very good at her job. Like, but to go up to game director is like huge. And Obsidian does a good job of that. Like, the directors of Outer Worlds, I don't even know their name off the top of my head. Like, they're just always raising up new names. So for her to get to the top of that ladder and then jump, to me, says one of two things. Like, I'm out. I've had enough. I've done this long enough. Like, as in, not in a negative way, just like I've been here 12 years and I've seen it all, and I got this new opportunity, and it's a smaller team. And that's what we see with a lot of these AAA developers, is like they get a taste of like the high life, and they're like, yeah, big AAA production director. And then you miss the indie smaller life, the AA life. There's a reason why they keep flocking to that and sort of having that ability to have control over their production and like tighter communication pipelines, those sorts of things. So wouldn't surprise me if that was like a part of her exit too. Is just like, that was a pain in the ass. That was stressful. And also, hey, third element I'll throw out there.
Let's go.
When your games are of that scale and someone says something that tips other people off.
Just about to ask you. That was the question I was going to ask you.
I didn't think of this initially, but this is like my off the cuff thought. I don't think it's like, hey, fuck you, I'm out. Like, I don't think it's that. But I do think there is a level of like, she started to appear, I saw in thumbnails, and people started to drag her. And I think she has been a professional through it all and did a really great job and was honestly fielding a lot of people's messes. That's a human element to it that I look at and I'm like, Carrie might have been like, yo, I didn't do anything. I volunteered to direct for this project. Maybe not volunteer, maybe she was asked, but like, I chose to direct for this project. I took on a mess, and this project has been absorbing people's messes for 3-4 years now. That is a human element, man. And like, there is a level of like, hey, it's been great. I'm sure she made it clear there was no bad blood on her way out, because that just seems to be based on I've interviewed her twice. That's her energy. She's a very good person, it seems like. So I could just see her like not making a mess of it, but up here, upstairs, I'm out. Thank you for your time. I don't need to be up on YouTube thumbnails. I don't need to be involved in like Xbox interviews, and I don't need to like get dragged into the woke, anti-woke shit. Like, I don't need all that. I just want to make games and write stories and have impact. And there was a way to do it quietly, which she did with like, I think Outer Worlds, where it was like big level, but wasn't on the spotlight. When that spotlight happens and it's not her fault, I think that could play a factor. So I think it's just, to me, the read is like, as I thought about it more, I was like, damn, really? Like, she climbed the ladder. But then as I started to talk it out with myself, I'm like, yeah, like, I guess I get it. Like, you kind of have that potential of like, I've done everything here. I've climbed that ladder. I have that experience. I can get hired anywhere else now. The Netflix bag might be crazy. Inheriting disasters is not someone's favorite thing to do. There's just a lot of things that get thrown into there. So I think it makes sense, ultimately. You think about it more, it makes sense. What it does paint a picture of, though, is what is Avowed's future as a franchise? You know? I don't think this says like, oh, it flopped, we're never doing it again. But one of the questions we asked her was like, what does post-launch content look like? And she's like, we're going to assess and kind of decide from there. When she leaves after that, that tells me not just like no DLC, but are they doing a sequel? Like, would that actually, is that not even on the table now? Because it seemed like to me, with her work starting, if I remember correctly, with Pillars of Eternity, my read of the situation was like, this was her project to like make her own and absorb and kind of be the shepherd of. And so if she's gone, again, Obsidian does a good job raising up directors. So someone else will next man up.
For sure.
But what does that say about Avowed's future? I wonder. Does it earn itself a sequel still when like one of the key minds who made it what I think was, again, like the serviceable game it was? Because I wonder if it was this multiplayer game, how I would have, as someone who was a little more lukewarm on it, how I would have felt about it. So I look at that and I go like, again, you know, did it earn itself that extra entry, or with the Fallout TV show doing its thing, have other plans changed? Outer Worlds sequel, like Obsidian's in like a free agent state after this year. We don't know what they're doing after the Outer Worlds 2. The speculation is grounded too, but we know that's not their full team.
Right.
So like, what is the next big thing after the Outer Worlds 2? And I feel like her exit says something about that. I don't know if it's more Avowed. So yeah, just a lot of thoughts on it, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good question. I love what you said about, you know, her being on the big stage now, being a director, and then there's a human element to that, right? Being in the crosshairs of one of the biggest controversies that, let's be honest, the Dukes and IOP both broke. We were in the storm of it. It broke with the art director with us, right? You know what I'm saying? Just think about that. Yeah, we broke the storm. Right? Then we have her on after that broke. And let's be honest, you know, we can speak about it now. The temperature was kind of like, hey, we can't really talk about that. Let's focus on what we need to focus on, right? And what I'm trying to say is that showed me a protection from the studio to her, right? She is now the face of every YouTube video, every grift, every non-grift. You are now the face of the evil, even though it's not your fault inherently. It's just what has happened.
It's like we talked about earlier about Bungie. It's just the nature of the title. Even if you're not you might not be involved in the case of Bungie, but like, who knows? But like, that title just carries that weight where it's like, well, you're responsible for everything. You're the director, right?
You're the director. You're all of you. You know what I'm saying? Obsidian as a whole, you know what I mean? That's what happens, right? Yeah. The actions of one affects me. That's why I got so upset with the Pitchford thing sometimes. Because it's like, that's what happens. It's unfair, but that's the game, right? So you never know, right? Like, yo, she and let's be honest, her professionalism, she took that like a champ. She was in the mix with a lot of us and answered questions, and obviously stuff she couldn't answer. But, you know, I thought that was interesting. So yeah, that could play a factor there. I didn't think about that. And to your point, I would say I'm worried about the future of like Avowed. I'm just concerned about the timing of the roadmap and the direction of what is next. To your point, sequel, or do we give more content, right? That I am curious about, especially with now a new director. Does the new director say, hey, that was her vision. We'll just do post-launch support. We'll get this up to speed for PlayStation. Let's start the Avowed 2 process. But the reason why I'm surprised is because I look at Outer Worlds 1 and we got a Mirror, a Gorgon. We got a
they did DLC and greenlit the sequel immediately. Like they knew they had something.
Yeah, so that's going to be the question here. And I think that's what you said is very valid. Do we get DLC, or do we just say, hey, let the new director now, because we do agree Obsidian's talent internal, next man up should be someone worthy and qualified and people that will get behind, but do they want to just do their whole thing for two?
The other tricky thing that Carrie did talk about, I think it was in our interview actually. Yeah. Like as a director, she, you know, one thing that we've seen with Obsidian, the reason they do their DLC cycles is it lets people who haven't directed before get that experience. So she directed Peril and Gorgon, and then moved into a full director position for a game. So that's why I find it also especially interesting. Is like if there's no DLC for Avowed, there's no like place to usher someone in and like, all right, get your feet wet. Like this is what it's gonna be like. And it's a shame because the director of Murder on Eridanos, was it Caitlin Spark? I think her name was.
Yeah, she's over. We had Caitlin on. Yeah, she's your IOP. She's a beast.
She left, so like
she's left. She's with I forgot who she's with now. She's doing something big.
Yeah, so they're down that, and I'm sure Adam Brennicke's working on. Of course. Grounded 2,
of course. What's up with Sawyer?
Yeah, what's the Sawyer doing? Man, I don't know if Sawyer ever directed yet. He doesn't seem interested, but that's why I say the window's open now, as we've talked about a lot. I'm like, sincerely, like, this is not me trying to get carried away. Like, is it Fallout time? Like, is it actually like Fallout time? You know?
Yeah, but your boy, you know how God Howard, he don't let nobody touch the keys to the car. You know how your boy do.
Hey, bro, virtuose.
You don't like my
virtuos out here making magical things occur, you know, by being able to touch a storied video game in the way they did.
If God don't bless it, then you got to
obviously God Howard needs to give the blessing for sure.
I don't think he rocking with my Black Rock peeps like that for some reason.
I mean, if that is, I don't believe that rumor, but if it is true, because I think it was Dustin messaged me or someone messaged me and was like, "Hey, I heard that Todd is actually jealous of Obsidian." I'm like, I don't get that vibe off of Todd at all. This guy makes some of the biggest games in the world. He'd have to be insanely insecure, which I don't know him on that level, to actually feel jealous of anyone's work with how seismic his games and his team's games are. But yeah, if they give them the blessing, I mean, Fergus hasn't begged in a while, which I think, he has not begged in a while, right? Remember, Fergus, when he doesn't have his Fallout, he's out taking interviews, asking for it. So I'm just throwing it out there as a little bit of a nugget that I wonder if, because he's not asking more, it's because he knows he's got it. And if there is no Avowed DLC and there's nothing on the horizon, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, Obsidian down Carrie Patel. She is over at Night School directing a game. So congrats to her on what sounds like a bag upgrade.
Yeah, get your paper. Hey, man.
All right. Last bit of news here. Very interesting coming soon to Game Pass segment we've got here. A lot of exciting stuff. By the time you're listening to this, you'll already have Monster Train 2 Day 1 in Game Pass on Ultimate and PC. Creatures of Ava, Hellblade 2, and Stalker 2 enter console standard tiers. So that'll be May 22nd. You'll already have your hands on that forever. Tales of Kenzera Zhao enters the service on Ultimate and PC tiers on May 22nd. The Division 2 enters both the standard and Ultimate tier for Game Pass on May 27th. PC as well. 2AT enters Ultimate and PC Game Pass. Metaphor ReFantazio. Oh, you didn't see this when I linked it to you?
Hell no, I didn't see this.
Yeah.
How did I miss this?
I linked it to you and I went, bro, Metaphor.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, Metaphor. This is an interesting conversation we're about to have because it's not just Ultimate and PC, standard.
That's for the base of the. Wow.
Yeah, that says something. I'm a little.
All right. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's a little early for that. Spray Paint Simulator, Ultimate and Standard tier. Crypt Custodian, a lot of jobs here. We got Ultimate PC and Standard. That's June 3rd. Sorry, Spray Paint Simulator is May 29th alongside Metaphor, and then June 3rd as well. Symphonia comes to cloud, PC, and console on the Ultimate PC Standard tiers. So very interesting month for Game Pass. A lot of standard tier content, but most notably, Metaphor ReFantazio finding itself in the standard tier. In May, we're talking, when it come out in October, right? Yeah. So we're talking, if I'm mathing right, like what, 6? Oh boy,
almost, math. Yeah, like 6, almost
7 months after. How would you feel?
Interesting.
Yeah.
You didn't think that'd be possible. Listen, that joint beat, remember my prediction for like Infinite Wealth didn't even hit. From Sega's, even though it's not Atlas, but Sega had, I predicted they would do the 6 to 8 months like how they did with the Like a Dragon, the first one, and then it came to Game Pass, and that didn't happen. What do you make of this?
I got 2 thoughts. One, the game exploded out the gates because like the Atlas hardcore is real, right? So we know it hit like 1 million sales like immediately. But again, the Atlas hardcore is just such a factor that their games explode out the gates. Beyond that, how it did is interesting because it's really anybody's guess. I think it sold well. My thought process is that the game stopped selling on Xbox. And so you get the Game Pass bag as sort of a makeup for those, that more than if Atlas does good business as Sega does good business, maybe you get a bag that's equivalent to more than your projected sales over the next year or so with Metaphor on Xbox. That would be my prediction personally. It shows a little weakness. I can't lie though, to be like May and you're already in Game Pass. But at the same time, Atlas and Sega kind of did to themselves. You create a standard, people are going to wait that out. And so Persona has been day one on Game Pass since it hit the platform, man. Like 3, 4, 3 Reload, 5 Royal.
Okay.
Now Metaphor gradually. It's Tactica. Like, you know, I kind of look at it, I'm like, yeah, maybe it does check out a little bit more. I mean, we had a write-in one time. It was like, should I wait for Game Pass? And we were like, no, hell no.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that write-in.
I was like, hell no, bro. It's not. So apologies to whoever wrote in. You might have spent your money. But yeah, man, here it is. So it's a little bit interesting. Seeing Stalker 2 enter the standard tier, also a little bit interesting.
Yes, very much so. But I want to back you up, though. With Metaphor, like, I understand the point about the Xbox sales. That's to be given. You know, I feel, you know, obviously the third place console, whatever. But like, what about the PC and the PlayStation community? You know what I'm saying? Like,
true, to me, PC that's Game Pass as well.
Yeah, that to be like, yo, you stalled after a certain amount. Like, you dropped out the gate. 6 months is a quick bag, bro.
Yeah. I think Dragon Age was in that window with PS Plus.
What are these final? Was it, you think 2, 3, and then it just kind of
might have stopped at 2. I think.
Yeah, that's what that got to tell me, because I'm like, it's so crazy how like traditionally, which we consider prior to Expedition, this is the GOAT. And I'm wondering, you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't have a long tail, and then they say, you know what? See if we can double back with Xbox. Xbox says, hell yeah, you know, let's do it. You know, we get you that number that you felt comfortable with to get the
Because I guess you look at the opposite way. If it's sold a lot, there's no reason for them to go to Game Pass because it's going to continue to sell. So,
and that's why I said why I knew Infinite Wealth I felt did well, because I'm like, yo, you were supposed to jump right back in Game Pass on that turnaround. And they're like, nah, we're good. We're good.
Yakuza, thank you. You gotta wonder. Yeah, I mean, it was a good year for Sega nonetheless between Yakuza, Metaphor, and Persona 3 Reload. But shit, man, like, it was way sooner than I expected. I thought at least take a year.
At least the game it that big.
Yeah,
that was the goatee for many of us last year. So
it's also jumping in the service at a busy time. I don't know if that plays a factor in their business decisions, but like with a lot of other RPG contenders, you're like, here we are, guys. Like, I don't.
Yeah. And then they want the most people to play. They put it in standard.
Yeah, standard's also
the lowest tier. They like, we want everyone to play. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical.
Yeah,
very skeptical.
And then the last thing I'll just say is, Division 2. That's actually huge. Yeah, I've been the Division community. They're coming at me because I've been very slanderous over the years, and you know they come for me. I like Maddie. I like the Division. I'm a Division fan, but they get so cocky, and I'm like, don't talk to me when you got 4,000 active users. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, they're very delusional. Like, they come at me. They've been the Warframe dudes. I'm like, bro, I don't mind y'all, but what it is, y'all hate for Destiny supersedes. You know what I'm saying? Reality. Intelligence. Yeah, in reality. And I'm just like, I'm not going to be talked to by 4,000 active users. Oh, Jay, that's for my man Slow. I always got to slander him. He's a big Division guy. But no, I like Division. This is a big deal. I think they got new content coming. Them being in Game Pass. I've always wanted Division to be in Game Pass. I think that's a good deal. Shout out to Tales of Kinsera. Please go out there, play this game if you haven't played it. Shout out to Abubakar. We've had him in the realm. And Stalker 2 being the standard. That's it. That's it. I think it's a fair. Again, Game Pass, it's cooking with like fish grease, baby.
And Monster Train. Avoid it. Monster Train's a big indie get.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it's all looking good for Game Pass. If you're just looking at it from the consumer, ignoring all we talked about from the business angle, really good pickings here again. All right. Game Pass pick of the week time, and then we're out of here. I have the selection, and I picked Sea of Stars this week. I have not played what I'm about to talk about, but I just thought it was worth the call out from Sabotage and what they're doing here. And I don't think it's getting enough buzz. They just released Throes of the Watchmaker. This is apparently 8 to 10 hours long, and it's entirely free. You can just download it and play it, and it's very much standalone, is what people have said. It's more standalone, so it's like you can kind of jump into it fresh. So they were wary of like you're jumping in, you haven't played Sea of Stars since 2023. No problem. But for a company of their scale, not a big team, to come out with like big amount of free content, that's like unheard of for like a kind of indie style team. But they did a similar thing with that summer festival kind of update with Messenger.
Yeah.
They just showed up and just like, what? This is awesome. And I think that was either free or really cheap too.
Yeah, Picnic Paddock or something like that. I interviewed them for that DLC. Yeah. We had on like Hawaiian stuff. It was a dope thing. They had. I love the area guys.
They're great over there. Yeah. But Sea of Stars is a really good indie RPG that I'm sure Ibantis likes, just given that he is a big Chrono Trigger head. Because Sea of Stars definitely borrows heavily in its gameplay design from Chrono Trigger. But this is just brand new DLC for free. If you have it in Game Pass, you have the DLC. And I just think, again, that's worthy of a boot. That's worthy of a hype, the pick of the week, because I think for those who are looking for that tighter JRPG, I say tighter compared to today's games, but like 30-ish hours, which, depending on who you are, might be music to your ears. But even if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have Game Pass, but you have Sea of Stars somewhere else and you want to dive in for a quick like 8 to 10 hour adventure, it's free. It's free. And it adds a ton of new art, like crazy. So I just think very impressive from a business angle. It also shows how well Sea of Stars did. Sea of Stars hit a very high player count for a game of its size. It took the PS Plus bag, it took the Game Pass bag, and then it sold a lot on top of it. So they probably are like, fuck it, man. Like,
yeah, bro, they did well. Yeah. I am so proud of them, man. Yeah, super dope.
Absolutely. So that's all I've got for Game Pass pick of the week. Just want to shout out what I think is a really cool thing an indie team is doing out there. All right. It's time to wrap up, Cog. That's our show.
Yeah.
How are we feeling for a hashtag this week?
I mean, I think I don't know. I'm leaning, but you tell me if we were going too direct with it. It's like DD and Terry.
Yeah.
But maybe is it too much? I mean, there's a part of me is like, I want to give her credit, because of the whole thing, and I don't like
we'll use it as a rallying cry, a little anti-DD.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I like that. Nice flip.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just a little rallying cry. Because when I covered her stuff on both my marathon videos, I had the Ko-fi or Ko-fi or whatever they call it, the link that lets you donate to her in my description box. Because she deserves the cash.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, we'll do anti-DD, a little bit of rallying cry for her. Nice. From the Dukes, from the realm of the Dukes. So if you got this deep, you can tag us on Twitter. I'm at G27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Use the hashtag anti-DD. We look forward to hearing from you there. If you don't use social media, no problem. Tag us in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Cog, any closing thoughts as we round this one out?
Yeah, a lot of news, a lot of stuff to catch up on. Fun realm of the Dukes.
Absolutely.
Writings were fun. Everything was dope. Yeah, man, we got stuff to talk about. It's going to be a wild summer.
Yeah, it is. And so we're gearing up now. Next week is the 28th. And then what day is the Xbox Showcase? That's
I think it's that June, usually like the 9th or the 8th.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. June 8th is a Sunday.
Yeah, I would assume it's the 8th is the Sunday.
Yeah, so we're close to our prediction episode.
Yes.
About 2 weeks away, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Maybe actually, you know what? Let me talk to Rand. It might be.
Yeah, it might be time.
It might be next week because
we might have to get the boys.
Because we always do a 2 week lead in because when we launch it the week before.
Yes.
Then that runs us into no doubt we record the episode that night of, so we don't get like a week of like predictions and build up and people getting the chance to listen because it's always a long episode. So let me DM Miranda. I said I was going to do it last week, but this time for real.
We got to hit them up. We got to hit them boys up.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you next week with what might be a prediction episode. We'll see you then. All right. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Maddie's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.